This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Thrown under the bus.
No. Always live. Always real. Always unpredictable.
I'm not okay with that.
It sounded good when I thought.
Log on and join our live conversation.
Yes,
I don't like that.
You're 100% right.
DBL starts right now.
3, 2.
Welcome to DBL. It is Wednesday, July 10th. We are live, and we're talking about what you're talking about right now. I'm here with Stephanie, Tori, Brandon, and I'm Sam. Let's get started. New York is celebrating the Women's World Cup victory with a ticker tape parade. Look at this. The team rolled up Broadway through the Canyon of Heroes as confetti rained down on them. And this is only the second time in more than 100 years that a women's team has been honored with a ticker tape parade. The other was 4 years ago when the U.S. women's team was honored for winning the 2015 World Cup. Wow.
Amazing.
They are like our American heroes right now.
Right, and I always think there's always a team that represents a generation. So in the 80s, during the Cold War, you had that Russian hockey game against the U.S. that was such a miracle on ice, right? Then in the 40s and 30s, you had Seabiscuit, let's be honest, that transformed a nation out of a depression. And you now have this women's team that is making protests and asking for equal pay, which, by the way, Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia just put out a bill saying we will not fund the 2026 Men's World Cup FIFA if you don't pay the women.
I love seeing men and women come together for equality.
I mean, it's a no-brainer, you know?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people are getting this argument, and they're taking it to FIFA. That's wrong. This is versus the U.S. Soccer Federation. It's different. But I wonder how many times throughout that parade route did they hear equal play chants throughout
You know,
the entire
this
time.
just came in. Just came in while the president spoke. Do we have it? I believe we do, because this is breaking news. Let's take a look.
Get out of here.
U.S. soccer has invested more in women's soccer than any country in the world. And we will continue to invest.
So now
that was Carlos Cadero, the president of the U.S.
Soccer Federation,
trying to assure everybody that he will make it right, gets interrupted
Can you
with
imagine?
the equal pay
So
chant.
Not only are they a team, they're a vehicle for change.
Absolutely.
I mean, everywhere these women go, it's equal pay, equal pay.
Because everyone sees themselves in them.
Completely.
And that's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
Well done. And while that parade is a huge step towards equality for women's soccer, their fight for equal pay is taking center stage. The team star Megan Rapinoe sat down with CNN's Anderson Cooper to talk just about that. But she also had a message for President Donald Trump. Watch.
Your message is excluding people. You're excluding me. You're excluding people that look like me. You're excluding people of color. You're excluding, Americans that maybe support you.
And Megan also opened up about her sexual orientation and says she did not realize she was gay until college. Take a look.
When I was like 6. How can you not know?
I know. It's so embarrassing, actually, because I'm just very gay.
Did you not? You knew about gay people?
Yes, totally. I did. I know. It's like, I couldn't see the forest for the trees. It was crazy. It's embarrassing.
What an honest, beautiful conversation. And to see it with Anderson Cooper.
I know. Well, we don't normally see this side of him, so this is a completely different, this is such a beautiful interaction between the two. I love that she's being so honest and open, but the fact that she said it was embarrassing, it's not embarrassing. I know she didn't mean it in a negative sense, but you find out who you are at different points in your life. Some people know, like he was saying when he was 6, she was more in college. So, I mean, whatever age, whatever your preference is, it's a beautiful thing.
It is, but I was shocked to hear Anderson Cooper say that he was 6. He never really discusses it. And I was like, look at him just having like a drink with this.
She brought out the best in him. I would love to see more of her on TV. Yeah. She comes off just very relatable, honest.
Yeah. And it's her charisma. You know, we're drawn to that. And she's been forced to kind of be the face of this movement where, you women are the face of this movement behind. But, they're picking that
You're
one
right.
person.
She's kind of the poster child right now.
Absolutely.
And the one thing that they did, and that she did, is they won. You know, everyone was rooting against. There are a lot of people rooting against her and our own U.S. women's team.
Because they made it political.
And that's what, when you make it political, and that's what kind of Colin Kaepernick's message got diluted because he was on the trashy San Francisco 49ers. Sorry, Sam. But it's like Muhammad Ali. You're going out, you're protesting, but then you go out and you win the world championship.
And what does she say on Anderson Cooper? Protest. She doesn't hold her hand over her heart. She bends the knee at times at the national anthem. And she said, look, protests are not meant to make you comfortable. I want to make you uncomfortable. And I thought, this woman has a career in speaking because she gets the patriotism.
And I want us as a country to, even if you completely disagree with her ideology or Colin Kaepernick, I want us to get in a place in this country where we can still respect that person, listen to that person, and then after listening to them say, I still don't agree with you, but I'll support you.
Yeah, just listen.
I want us to get there, but we're not there yet.
I think the pendulum, and I promise I'm praying that it's coming back to the middle ground. America likes homeostasis. They like that middle. They don't like this extreme.
Right. It's becoming a little extreme.
It's a very extreme.
We just need more conversation.
Totally.
And this next story, I think, if we have a conversation about it, I think we may not rush to judgment on this one. There have been too many stories of white people calling the police on black people. That is a fact. Well, some have catchy names like Permit Patty. Then there's Coupon Carl. We remember that one. There was another incident in San Francisco. Here it is, and then we'll discuss.
Please call your friend on the call box and have them come down.
They don't have to do that. You could just walk away.
I'm going to call the police right now.
Oh, yes. Call the police.
Please go.
Listen to your son.
Daddy, go. It's the better. I agree with him, Daddy. It's the better.
At Washington.
Let's go. Please, I don't like this. I don't like this.
He's standing in the lobby.
Daddy, I don't like this. Let's go.
Now the white man from the video has responded, and there's more to the story than you might think. He says he did not target the man because he was black, but because his father was killed by a trespasser and that there have been trespassers and break-ins in his building. The black man in this situation thinks that is no excuse. Take a listen to what he had to say.
I can understand that he's been traumatized. It's very, very difficult to try to communicate based on his past experiences. Personally, as an African-American male, I've been stopped and harassed at stores, different locations. I would have police officers ask me if I belong there. But I don't let those experiences shape or define the way I see other people.
Yeah, Brandon, do you think that he should have called the police on this man?
I think he should have done. In this day and age, with anyone with their Airbnb and house shares, apartment shares, I think you do more due diligence because it's not about having a call box. I don't have my call box set up at my apartment. So when people call me, you call me, I walk downstairs and I go and get them from time to time. But Christopher Kukar, the white man in this video, also said that past experiences and fears can cloud someone's intentions. So that's for yours. But let's flip it to look at the black man's side or our black community. Our past experiences and fears makes us angry every time we are faced with a do you belong here situation. And we're tired of it. So there could have been two extremes here and two maybe not different narratives or two things that happened that just met at this type of situation. But let's start a dialogue. Let's sit these people down.
Let's start a dialogue.
And that's what I'm glad we're doing here, right? So for me, this is like the perfect storm, as I said, about three different perspectives. We see this guy, the white guy, who has some legitimate concerns about break-ins. We're not allowed to let people into the buildings. And his father was killed, apparently, by a trespasser. Then you have the complete opposite of a black man being like, yet again, I can't just hang out at my house or go to a friend's house, right? And then you have this kid who's trying to control this emotion and the story. And I think if we just understand they're three human beings, and they're all complicated, and it's really confusing, and their perspective, no one yelled, no one got drastically angry.
I think this could have a beautiful outcome if people, and they seem to be two very empathetic people. I do think that the man that called the police, I wonder if there is a way for him to maybe walk walk the gentleman to find out where the neighbor was, but maybe the gentleman wouldn't have wanted to go on that walk because he's like, leave me alone.
He's like, you need to walk away.
So perhaps they did do everything they thought that they could possible, but at least they both were calm and seemed like, at least looking back retrospectively, that they have some empathy.
Yeah, it didn't seem as though there was any pent-up aggression or anger to one another. It seemed like a very calm situation. You know, he was very calmly ringing the police.
I hated seeing the kid, though.
The other gentleman was saying, you know, you don't need to do this. There were, you know, there was no aggression, which is obviously, thank the Lord.
Right.
But I mean, I do think both of them could have helped the other one a little bit more. Like maybe the white gentleman could have said, okay, I'll assist you to the apartment, and then I'll feel okay about it. Or the other gentleman could have said, you know what, I'm going to keep trying to call my friend. Don't worry about it. I'll stand outside. You know,
That's a good point. Yeah.
But it's difficult because
they both feel like they have the right to do what they did, and they kind of do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
they do. They both have.
I'm glad that we're treating this so differently than some of the other ones that were blatant racism. So let's just pause a little bit and kind of use our critical thinking skills.
For sure.
All right, this is a very upsetting story. A grandfather on a cruise ship had been blamed for the death of his granddaughter. Can you imagine? There were all these reports that he had dangled the 18-month-old girl out of a window, but now we're getting new details about her death from the family's lawyer. Watch.
Takes him over to the windows. He thinks it's all glass. There's a wood railing right there. He puts her up on there thinking that she's going to bang on the glass and it's going to be great. And she goes to bang on the glass, and the next thing he knows, she's gone.
This is any parent, grandparent, caretaker's worst nightmare.
Yeah, and then to be honest, I've read up on this, then to be blamed for it is a double wound that you can't get over. I will say that this little girl often would bang on glass, so they took her to hockey rinks, and she loved to do that. So there was this common thread of her doing that. The guilt that this parent must feel,
oh my gosh,
grandparent must feel, must be, I can't even. It's overwhelming.
And then to be completely villainized in the media. I mean, that's where, again, everybody just looks at headlines. Nobody reads the story. Nobody asks questions. We're just so quick to blame people.
He dangled her off the balcony. That's not at all what happened here.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's, like you say, it's unfortunate. And I read a tweet from someone who was on that cruise liner. And she says that the windows alongside the pool area slide open to let breeze in for adults to look out. They're too high for children to open. She had to stand on her tippy toes to look out. So I think it's something.
But it was also in a children's area, and you should not have glass that opens at 11 stories at a cruise ship.
But if you're a child can't get to that. You have to be picked up and held up for you to get to that window that opens. That's what this other.
I mean, but I think there should have been safety measures in place, like this cruise ship. If it's a children's play area, it's an 11th story. There should not be windows that open.
But
on that.
Child can't get to it.
Children can climb. They can take a chair, move the chair, climb on the chair, and then get up.
Right.
So listen, I mean. Terrible story. Absolute terrible story. Absolutely. My heart breaks for that little girl and for the grandfather. I can't imagine what he must be feeling.
I agree.
DBL is live. We'll bring you breaking news as soon as it happens. Coming up, you'll meet a man who's not only a bus driver, but he is a tutor too. Find out how he helped a girl prep for a big test. That's coming up in Heart Threads. And you, the viewer, are our fifth host. A music festival is under fire for charging white people more to get in than people of color. So DBL Nation, we got to hear from you on this one. Could you support an event that offers race-based pricing? Your comments about that coming up next.
Hi there, DBL Nation. Kelly Schubert here with the DBL Digital team. I'm tracking all the breaking and trending news for you right now. Please let us know what you think about that fifth host. I think it's a really interesting story. I've been tracking it now for a few days, so please let us know your DBL take on that story. I think we're going to go to the desk and see what's going on with Tori. Hey, Tori.
I'm so proud of you.
Tori, what's happening?
Well, I do want to tell you about Destiny. Let's take a look over here. Big shout out. She's been doing makeup for a little bit, and now she just came on board a little bit to do some makeup. So I think a big shout out to Destiny. A lot of people writing in. Michael Loveland disagrees with me. He says, that kid, Tori, was not calm. That kid was right. I can't say anyone was right here. It is three perspectives in a perfect storm, and there's so much historical context. I don't think the kid was right. I don't think either guy was right. And nobody was wrong. And nobody was wrong either, right?
I do think it's two really...
it's just the perfect storm
of two completely different perspectives and backgrounds.
That are valid, that are totally valid.
Yeah, and I'm glad we're talking about it instead of placing blame.
And
it is different than the ones where you saw blatant racism, and I think we need to be able to call out each one for what it is.
I agree with that.
Otherwise, we just glob everything into one big box.
I call that an Aziz Ansari. You know, you just blob it in. Sure. I do wish we called this the A-block. I feel like we should call it like the story, not the headlines. Because don't you think that every story we talk about, we're like, thank God we're not just talking about the headlines. Yeah. It's like, I love that the show is, I was just saying the A-block is all about disseminating the headline from the story.
Sensational
every story we do. Isn't that interesting?
You mean to tell me you click on the links?
Well, I think everybody does.
No, 67%, I believe that's the statistic of people, it's been found, just share links and don't read them.
That's right.
So whatever that
Just the
sensational
headline.
headline,
Yeah, it's a
if it resonates with them, if it aligns with their political affiliation,
It
they'll
goes.
share it without actually looking at context, without having critical thinking skills, asking questions.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of our
Yeah,
problem today.
I think DBL is good for getting to the story and not the headline.
Yeah, and then
that
trying to
is-
find almost a common ground somehow.
Because that's the conversation that brings us this way.
Yeah. Welcome back to DBL. It's time for Fifth Host, when we talk about what you're talking about. A Detroit music festival is no longer pricing tickets based on race. Now that one performer has backed out and is now receiving threats from white supremacists. Afro Future Fest representatives say they were charging white people double for tickets to ensure that that marginalized communities of color could afford the experience of going to music festivals like this. But local biracial rapper Tiny Jag says she was enraged by the policy and will no longer be performing. So DBL Nation, could you support an event with race-based ticket pricing?
All right, let's get to these comments. Connie from Facebook says, instead of charging white people more, would it be different if it was marked as people of color discount? Connie, thanks for writing in first and foremost. I just look at it like this. As a black man, we have a lot of pride. So the fact that you're going to discount me or give me a $10 discount just because I'm black, I work hard. And a lot of people in these marginalized communities work hard as well. It's not like they're going to see Kanye or they're going to see Drake. You're just going to an Afro futuristic concert. So you don't need a handout in this situation. Bring us all together.
Justin from Facebook says, fighting racism by being racist. It makes no sense at all. It's a good bumper sticker, actually. Justin, I agree with you. I also just think legally this is breaking many, many laws. Eventbrite hosts this, and they said, look, this is a protected characteristic. You can't determine or discriminate on race, on gender, on sexual orientation. Just because it's white and not black, it's still racist. So I agree with Justin on this one.
Tony from Facebook says they just went about this all wrong. What if they offered free or discounted tickets to organisations like the local Detroit NAACP chapter or a local black fraternity or sorority chapter? That would have been the proper way to diversify the audience. So for that, I'd actually say to Brandon, well, how would you feel about that? Because you said absolutely no handout whatsoever.
I was reading my next comment. I'm sorry.
That's honest.
We're real here.
That's honest. Thank you for
way to
not
put
faking
me on the
it.
spot.
Sorry.
I'm looking down.
That's honest.
We'll talk during the break. We'll talk during the break. Sorry, Steph.
Mark from Facebook says, what a failed attempt at equality. I can't imagine this event is going to be successful after this. The name alone would have attracted the right people if they didn't make this huge mistake. I actually think it's a very wonderful thing to make sure that you diversify the ticket prices so you can diversify the audience, but I don't think you need to do that based on race. You can do that based on socioeconomic status.
Yeah.
But what's with the white supremacists protesting this? Like, come on.
Oh, they're gonna be on everything.
But you knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, they jump on it.
You knew it was going to happen.
Did you listen to Sam's response or no? Yeah.
What's with the white supremacists trying to protest this and Tory hating right now? Darryl from YouTube says, I'm white. I would have bought a ticket online for the person of color price and would have dared them to say something. I was raised by my black single stepdad and my daughter is black. I am part of the community they are trying to serve. Yeah, you look at it, Afro-futuristic. Just think about this. We always talk about opening up dialogue and having people of different cultures and religions come in and be able to talk and open that up to see how people interact. I think this would have been a great event for people of color, of people of non-color to come in and to not be afraid of people who are Afrocentric. So I think they missed the mark here, but I think the marketing aspect of it, I think that's what it was used for.
Really?
Yeah, we're talking about it. We're talking about it. Yeah.
Right. Fair enough. Thank you for writing in. Fans hyped up for a Breaking Bad reunion are angry at the show's stars. Raquel, please share the details.
Well, Sam, fans say Breaking Bad stars Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul pulled a fast one on them after teasing them with a hot new project since last month. Now, it all started with this Instagram photo they both posted captioned soon, followed by a picture of the two that said even sooner. Now, Breaking Bad lovers were sure a movie announcement was about to drop. But it turns out the two stars are actually getting into the liquor game. With a new mezcal called Dos Hombres, online reaction was swift, with many calling the news a total disappointment. Now, it's all not bad news. There is a Netflix project allegedly in the works, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
What do you mean?
Tori's so mad. I'm so
They
mad.
have a Netflix project in the works.
Yeah, allegedly.
This is awesome.
Put 2 drug mules on there and expect me not to think you're doing Breaking Bad.
I want to. You know they want to get in on that George Clooney Casamigos money. He got $1 billion for selling.
Are we boycotting their brand?
As if. You are so not. I guarantee when it comes out. No.
She backpedaled real fast.
Real fast.
Coming up on DBL, meet a bus driver who went above and beyond and helped a student pass a very important test. Heart Threads coming up next.
Hi DBL Nation, it's Raquel here, and I'm with Leo, who is a huge Marvel fan.
You know it.
And this is our review of Spider-Man Far From Home.
Ooh, what a movie.
I think it's going to be a family blockbuster this summer.
Easily.
We're calling it now.
Yeah, I mean, it's got great energy. Like, this feels like a high school field trip movie with a splash of superhero in it. Like, we get a really good focus on Peter Parker's teenage life. Him and MJ have a great relationship together. Not to mention, Tom Holland and Zendaya, just awkward but in love. It's a great depiction of 16-year-old awkward love.
And it's exactly what you needed after Endgame, which was very sad. You had to bust out the tissues. You won't really be crying for this one. At least I didn't. And I'm pretty sensitive to these movies.
Yeah.
You can usually see me with a tear or two. But you'll actually it's gonna be a lot of laughs. You're gonna enjoy yourself. It's really funny.
Yeah.
Yes. And what I liked the most about it was Peter struggling Peter Parker, after the end of the Avengers. I don't want to give too much away if you haven't seen Endgame, but pretty much, is he the new leader?
Yeah.
His mentor's gone, what's he going to do? He still wants to be a teenager, so it's that life balance too. And I think my favorite thing that Leo and I both enjoyed, I heard him screaming in the theater actually, there is a cameo from someone way back from the Spider-Man.
Yeah, from the first couple Spider-Man movies, guys. And we're not going to say who, we're not going to spoil, but it was a pleasure.
Tobey Maguire era.
Yeah.
So keep your eyes peeled for that.
Yeah, dial it back. And let me tell you, Jake Gyllenhaal, what a great Mysterio. Like, that was comic book accurate. It was great. He was such a great character, and he really hit the nail on the head. And then kind of going back to Endgame, we had this 10-year buildup of Endgame.
Welcome back to DBL. Today's Heart Threads is all about going the extra mile. Watch how a bus driver helped a little girl on his route.
This bus driver helped a young rider pass her spelling test. Kindergartner Cadence was learning spelling words in class. She told her bus driver, Mr. D, about the upcoming test. Mr. D started helping her learn words on his route.
We started using the words in context and in sentences and just putting things together for her.
I would spell the word out for him when we were driving.
When it came time for the test, Cadence passed with flying colors. So she brought in a special thank you gift for her friend.
I wanted to give Mr. D donuts because I wanted to say thank you.
The DBL will be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Okay, so there's been kind of an update on the Megan Rapinoe situation. So as you know, the U.S. soccer head, Carlos Cordero, was interrupted just now speaking about pay, and as the crowd shouted, equal pay, kind of humbling. Well, then he mispronounced the star Megan Rapinoe's name, and he did it over the microphone, and the entire crowd kind of went crazy, and she smirked, kind of did a dance, got up, and kind of egged on the whole crowd. Not a big deal, but kind of, because I don't think you'd mispronounce any other male athlete star. Maybe you would. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm being too PC, but a faux pas on his part to mispronounce her name at the ticker tape parade in her honor, in which she won the Golden Boot. So thoughts on this? Am I going too far in this? Is it just something? I feel like you should be prepped for that, and you should really know your star athlete. And she's bringing in all that money for your federation. You owe that respect. I don't like when people call me Troy. It happens more than you think. People often call me Troy, and it really bothers me. They missed the O and the R. Tori, Troy. I also have a problem with people calling me Tori with an I, because it's a Y. And an I looks unfinished to me. Anywho, and I'm not a soccer star, and I didn't score or win the Golden Boot, but speaking more about me, no, I'm just kidding. Let me know what you guys think about this. Was this a huge faux pas on Carlos Cordero to not only get interrupted by equal pay and then to not know the name of his star athlete that for the parade that she's the honor of? Yeah, like get it together. That seems like he should know that. So let us know what you guys think. And also, does this remind you of lettuce, or are you into it? Or are you into lettuce? Let us know.
Welcome back to DBL. We love sharing your comments. What do we have, Tori?
Well, Michael Loveland said it best about that situation. Racism is racism, so knock it off about the Afrofuture situation. Yeah. Calling it like it is. I do have an update. Carlos Cordero, I believe his last name is. I want to get that right because he just mispronounced Megan Rapinoe's name at the parade in her honor.
That's had to do it on purpose. On purpose.
No, or he's
just out of touch. He's completely out of touch.
Yeah,
no,
on purpose. He said Rapinoe. She smirked. The crowd was a little upset. She kind of did this. She shrugged it off, got up, did a great move again, and did a whole dance. She is a professional. Yep. He should know better. That's your star athlete bringing your federation all the money.
Unbelievable.
Shame on you. Unbelievable.
Wow. It's just all playing out so perfectly.
Give me a break.
Wow. Well, we will see you guys all tomorrow. Same time, same place. Have a great day, everybody. Stay safe. Bye.
Hi there, everyone. Kelly Schubert here with the DBL Digital team. I am tracking all the breaking and trending stories. I've got a trending story for you right now. Two little girls have actually started a petition about 8 months ago to get Burger King and McDonald's to stop using plastic in their Happy Meals and kids meals. The little girls say they love to eat fast food. I think they're 7 and 8 years old, around that age. They said they love to eat fast food, but they found out by learning in school that the plastic pollutes the waters, and it's bad for wildlife. life, so they decided to do something about it. This change.org petition already has more than 300,000 signatures, so it's been gaining a lot of traction, especially lately, but again, they did start it 8 months ago. But DBL Nation, I want to know what you think about this. What else do you propose could be used in Happy Meals for toys other than plastic? I mentioned maybe a coloring book or something of the sort, but kids already have that at home, and then I thought maybe you could just do a healthy alternative, maybe something else to eat on the side that's healthy. I know they already do the apples, and I know kids want a Happy Meal for the toy a lot of the time, and it gets them to eat. So let us know if you have any ideas of what could work, because obviously stop using plastic would be great for everyone. Anyways, guys, let us know your DBL take. Bye.
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Because everyone's talking about this.
Always live, always real, always unpredictable.
You think this hair just naturally stays like this?
Log on and join our live conversation.
I can't believe I'm saying this. I do agree with you.
DBL starts right now.
Welcome to DBL. It is Wednesday, July 10th. We are live, and we're talking about what you're talking about right now. I'm here with Erica, Jeff, Al, and I'm Sam. Let's get started.
Actually, because I'm just very gay.
That was Megan Rapinoe, one of the stars of the U.S. Women's World Cup team. She's opening up about her sexuality, and we'll have more with her in a bit. But first, New York is celebrating the U.S. Women's Soccer team victory with a ticker tape parade. The team rolled up Broadway, look at them, through the Canyon of Heroes as confetti rained down on them. This is only the second time in more than 100 years that a women's team has been honored with a ticker tape parade. The other time was 4 years ago when the U.S. women's team was honored for winning the 2015 World Cup. Only 2 times in 100 years. That's a little disappointing, but don't want to start off on a bad note. This is amazing.
Yeah, well, they won the last 2 years, so that's why it was 2 years.
I know, but you would think, considering how many times men's teams have been honored, it'd be nice to know that there's been more times where there would be a ticker tape parade for other women's teams that have also accomplished many great things.
I don't know the answer to this. Probably should have discussed this, but have men's teams been honored when they haven't won? They've went on the Champions Row or whatever that was?
Well, I can just recall a number of times where I've seen sports teams, whether it was the Super Bowl or other sport teams, go down through that same parade route,
right.
And I just don't recall that with other celebrated women's teams.
Oh, well, they're champions, but
yeah.
Let's move on. Good for them. Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
I don't know where to go with this.
Yeah, I mean, I want to look this up. I'll look it up during the break. I want to see what they've done for WNBA champions. But, you know, obviously women's sports are different. They don't have the football. There's no women's professional baseball, so it's a little bit different. Women's sports are more individual. Obviously, Serena would get a parade every day. She's that famous. But, like, in terms of team sports, I think basketball and now looks like women's soccer is next. So
I just think that a lot of the people surrounding women's soccer, aside from the fans, are completely out of touch. And I have a case in point, which just happened. Thank goodness we're live on this show. But U.S. Soccer President Carlos Cordero at the parade. Check this out.
U.S. soccer has invested more in women's soccer than any country in the world. And we will continue to invest.
And then he introduced Megan Rapinoe as Megan Rapinoe. That's your star player, bro. Well, you can't even pronounce her name.
People always mispronounce David Beckmeyer. Beckham.
Michael Jordan.
Yeah,
right?
LeBron James.
Well, I do recall NBA world champion Isaiah Thomas. I believe he was being introduced as the GM of something. Maybe it was the Knicks. No, it had something to do with the Heat organization, and they introduced him as Isaiah Thompson. instead of Isaiah Thomas, and he's a champion
Was
as well.
that the head of the NBA though?
It was not. It was the president of their team though.
Yeah,
so it's
that's
equally
horrific.
embarrassing.
That's equally embarrassing.
But it just makes you seem out of touch.
Thank you.
That's what.
That's my point.
He was clearly reading off something. There's no passion.
It's embarrassing. There have been too many stories. This is I think a story that's going to, I hope, welcome a nuanced conversation, because there have been a lot of stories of white people calling the police on black people. Some have some catchy names. You guys remember Permit Patty, right? Coupon Carl's another one. Well, there was another incident in San Francisco, and here it is.
Please call your friend on the call box and have them come down.
They don't have to do that. You could just walk away.
I'm going to call the police right now.
Oh, yes. Call the police.
Please go.
Listen to your son.
Daddy, go. It's the better. I agree with him, Daddy. It's the better.
At Washington.
Let's go. Please, I don't like this. I don't like this.
He's standing in the lobby.
Daddy, I don't like this. Let's go.
Wow, just hearing that kid. Well, now the white man from the video has responded, and he says that there is more to this story than you might think. He says he didn't target the man because he was black, but because his father was killed by a trespasser, and that there have been trespassers and break-ins in his building as of recent. The black man in this situation thinks that is no excuse. Listen to what he had to say.
I can understand that he's been traumatized. It's very, very difficult to try to communicate based on his past experiences. Personally, as an African-American male, I've been stopped and harassed at stores, different locations. I would have police officers asking me if I belonged there. But I don't let those experiences shape or define the way I see other people.
Wow. Erica, okay, there's a lot I want to say, but I want to hear from you and Al. What do you make of this?
You know, I think that he's right. You have two men who are dealing with two different types of trauma, and what you need is duality of thought and some flexible thinking. My issue with most of these phone calls or most of these incidents are that you are stating that you're afraid, but you're confronting me. So that makes me on the defensive about the confrontation. I feel like the victim at that point, regardless of why you're talking to me. And I think that this is such a, it's such a prominent thing. I know I get very upset when someone questions why I'm there, especially when it's in my own building and now my own neighborhood.
How do you handle it? What would you have done?
Well, now I just say things like, for instance, my neighbor just said, well, I think you're running a VRBO. And I said, well, why?
Tell everybody what that is.
Vacation rental by owner.
Wow.
And I said,
basically a fancy Airbnb for everybody.
Right.
Yes.
And I said, well, why would you think I'm running a VRBO? And he said, well, there's a lot. I just assume because there's a lot of different people coming in and out of your home. And I said, well, we are a mixed race family, and we also are all inclusive to everyone. So yes, you will see a lot of people coming in and out of our home. So you know, there are certain things that are triggers for people who have been traumatized, and I can understand there being trauma on both sides.
I appreciate your dialogue, because I do see both sides to this one, but hearing that child completely rips my heart out. I mean, that child right there almost saw it for what it is. That child was able to separate himself, because he didn't have it, from the trauma of his father, right? He didn't have the trauma as the black man because he's a white kid. So he was almost able to see it for what it is. And then we were able to see both of their backgrounds kind of fog what created that perfect storm. And I'm not saying anyone's right or anyone's wrong, but another layer to this is if the police were to have come and they would have gotten a phone call that person's scared because there's an intruder in their house, you never know what can happen between then that police officer and then that unarmed black man.
Right.
So there's so many layers to the story, but the fact that we're talking about it is what I appreciate.
Yeah, and the dialogue felt different in this one than the past two that we mentioned. My thing is, how would you tell a black person, if I'm a white man, which I am, how would you tell a black person, like, we're not allowed to let anybody in this building, I can't let anybody into my high-rise? What would you say a proper way, like, to teach them a teaching moment? What would we say to somebody to say, because I would say the same thing.
That was my issue, because you know, I think about my building. If there are, you know, where I live in the city, I live downtown, and there are a lot of people that are on drugs. There was a shooting there.
Yeah.
A day after
but you
our
live
break.
in a nice place. It's just right outside your door.
Yes, and literally right where that shooting happened, there's a door to where I live. You can't enter, but there's a door there. And so I am very cognizant of people trying to come in and out. We all know that there's probably somebody in my life that I would not like let into my building that is not a black man, far from it. So I think, like we keep saying, this is a different situation. We kind of talked about it yesterday when we talked about not throwing Aziz Ansari in with Harvey Weinstein. Because the optics kind of look the same and the story kind of sounds the same, we have to be careful not to throw this. Do we know what was in this man's heart? No. Do we know? I doubt this black man was doing anything wrong. It just might be a situation that looks like something we've seen before, but it's not what we've seen. So I do appreciate this conversation in that we're having sentences that involve commas. I can understand, but. I can see where he's coming from, but. So I like that.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. All right, this next story. You can't fault a man for trying to help the less fortunate, am I right? Or can you? Kanye West is building housing units for the homeless, but get this, they are inspired by Star Wars and are supposed to look like this, Luke Skywalker's house from the original film. So, is this genius? Is this not? What do you think, Jeff?
People are dogging on this. Listen, I'd rather look at that than drive by Skid Row and see what I see. I've been down there a couple of times. The fashion district's right next to it. It's a sad situation out there. I mean, you see what's going on, just the visuals of it. This guy's trying to find some housing for him. What if George Lucas did this? People would be like, oh, George Lucas made Star Wars things. So if this is Kanye's way of giving back in some way to the homeless community, am I wrong? I think it's a good thing.
It's shelter, and it's shelter. Someone else is thinking about you. And this is, for homeless people, that's the number one thing. They have been dehumanized. They're not thought of. So the idea that someone's thinking of them in any capacity to build shelter, I'm all for.
See, I agree with both of you, and I was reading some of the comments, and I just want to present this other side for all of us to consider. People that were defending the homelessness situation were saying, of course, the gesture is wonderful. They just didn't want it to come off very caricaturish and very cartoonish and further stigmatize a community. So they were calling on Kanye West, even though he did a wonderful thing, to try and think about that community rather than himself. But at the same time, these are like prefab houses. So I don't think people understand that this is like probably the most economical and easiest, efficient way to do this because they're almost like prefab. You can just set them up and put them in. So I think a lot of people are just being a little bit too picky here.
Yeah. Well, Kanye is a lot of things, but he's also crazy like a fox. So, I mean, anything that he does, there is a reason behind it, even if you don't understand it.
Yeah, and he really loves aesthetic too. He's all about like whatever aesthetic drives him. He likes to put his mark on things, but you can't blame him.
We prefer it if it was just a square box, and just had no dignity to it. I mean, I think don't forget these are human beings, and they're going to take it and give it a little flair. I'm down with it.
Yeah. I know. I salute him as well. DBL is live. We'll bring you breaking news as soon as it happens. Coming up, your first listen of Beyonce's new song from the Lion King soundtrack. Oh my gosh! But it does have a very familiar sound. Plus, Kourtney Kardashian gets teary about turning 40, but does she really have anything to cry about? And you, the viewer, are our fifth host. A music festival is under fire for charging white people more to get in than people of color. So DBL Nation, could you support an event that offers race-based pricing? Your comments about that coming up next.
Hi there, DBL Nation. Kelly Schubert here with the DBL digital team. I think we're going to go to the desk and continue chatting because we were having a good combo up there. Let's go. Hi, Rob. Hey, Kelly. All right, guys. What's happening up here? Hey, Big Brother's on tonight. That's happening.
Oh, do you have any like predictions? Anything like any favorites?
Yeah, when I interviewed them, I gave like the top 3 people that I liked, and I'm just sticking with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if they say something stupid,
do you still feel the same way though?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah. Nick was my favorite. I don't know. I know you guys don't know, but Nick was my pick to win, and he's looking good, even though it's like week 2.
Mm-hmm.
Sam was a guy I liked. Just because of his personality, he did a really nice gesture in the house. And then Tommy was another one of my favorites, and he's very entertaining. And then Christine was my favorite girl, and I feel like she's playing good too. So it's tough to. I don't watch all the extra stuff, you know, like I don't have time to watch live feeds or anything like that. So I just watch the show.
How far in are we?
I don't know, like 2 or 3 weeks.
So then, what are we halfway or no?
There's 100 days in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're only on like 2 weeks. Yeah.
We're in for 100 days?
No, our seasons were 75, and now they bumped it up to 100. People
to see
love
more
it.
crazy
People
and to
love
see
it.
more.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, so I'm not behind all the politics behind things or whatever. I just watch for entertainment. I actually just caught up. I was on vacation and just caught up now. Me and my wife just watched it the other day. And caught up on all of them. So
when you and Jordan watch Big Brother, do you go, oh, I wouldn't have done that, or I would
yeah,
That's interesting.
for sure.
I would love to watch.
Calculated.
I would watch
Sure,
a camera
thank you.
of just you and Jordan watching the show. I think that would be really
That's
interesting.
actually very
interesting. It's such a
interesting.
great insider.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, because you just never get that perspective.
That
it's
is
almost like
such
when
a
they
good
mic up
point.
like an offensive
Right.
coordinator, and
Yep.
you're like, oh, they're stopping us.
But see, when you're in there, it's easy to count. That's why everyone loves the show, because it's easy to play at home, but nobody knows what it's like to be inside
But you
there.
do. That's what's so
right.
interesting.
But so when you're
about it.
in there, it seems like an obvious choice. Like, I gotta put this person up. I know they don't like me. You're questioning yourself because all you have is time to think. You know what I mean?
Welcome back to DBL. It is time for Fifth Host, when we talk about what you're talking about. A Detroit music festival is no longer pricing tickets based on race, now that one performer has backed out and is now receiving threats from white supremacists. Afro Future Fest representatives say they were charging white people double for tickets to ensure that marginalized communities of color could afford the experience of going to music festivals like this. But local biracial rapper Tiny Jag says she was enraged by the policy and will no longer be performing. So DBL Nation, we do want to hear from you on this one. Could you support an event with race-based ticket pricing?
All right, Sammy. Harriet from Facebook says this feels unconstitutional. The festival needs to be canceled and the people in charge need to be prosecuted. Harriet, why does everybody automatically go to prosecution and jail? Wow, what century is this? I think we can take, instead of putting people in jail, let's take a lesson from this and just understand that life is much more nuanced than black and white. I have a grandmother that is Sam's complexion with blue eyes. I have a biracial adopted sister. Can they go to the concert? I had a stepdad that was white for 20 years. Can he go to the concert? I think life is bigger than black and white. So let's start to look at it like that.
Mary from Facebook says they were just trying to impose reparations. I get it. Mary, that is a popular opinion as well. We also have to remember this is a festival that was meant to have inclusivity and promote African-American artists in terms of having a safe space. I'm not saying that the ticket price differential is right in any way, but I do understand that organizations are popping up in order to give people of color a safe space where they don't have to code switch and they feel like they're being seen and heard.
All right, Donnie from Facebook says, I hope that no one confuses this poorly organized local event with the International Afro-Punk Festival, which is for everyone and celebrates the contributions of black culture in rock music. I think that's a good point. If it is different from this local or small little organization, I don't think it's right at all. I mean, I'll put it to you black and white. I think it's a terrible idea. This is just bringing back racism, even though whatever side you're on, I don't like it. That's all I'm saying.
All right, and Amanda from Facebook says they had good intentions. I go to a lot of music festivals with black artists and all white audiences. They were trying to change that. I think that's a little bit to Erica's point, but I also see a lot of artists and a lot of music festivals try to offer tickets to appease a very diversified audience as far as socioeconomic status. So I'd rather it be about that than one's race.
Yeah, I like that. And just, I know there's another comment, but I've thought, and I've seen this work kind of at certain shows, donations go a long way. You kind of pay what you want. I've used it sometimes when I went and saw a psychiatrist years ago and I didn't have any money. They did it on the sliding scale. And I think when you offer people like this, people have a lot more dignity than you think. Some people will pay $50, you know, just to go, and some people that don't have it will pay $5.
And during Coachella, Beyonce or her team was known to go to like different local organizations where she knew that the people that went to those organizations were people that were hurting.
Right.
So that's she went and recruited the organizations, was able to take those people, give them tickets, so it was a little bit more micro focus.
Right, but this is just taking a race or a color and saying you have this sort of income. Right. That's crazy.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for writing in. We love hearing what you have to say.
Fans hyped up for a Breaking Bad reunion are angry at the show stars. Raquel Villanueva has news at the moment.
That's right, Sam. Fans say Breaking Bad stars Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul pulled a fast one on them after teasing a hot new project since last month. Now, it all started with this Instagram photo they both posted captioned "soon," followed by a picture of the two that said "even sooner." Breaking Bad lovers were sure a movie announcement was about to drop, but it turns out the two stars are getting into the liquor game. With a new mezcal called Dos Hombres. Now, online reaction was swift, many calling the news a total disappointment. Now, it's not all bad news. There is a Netflix project allegedly in the works, but we'll just have to wait and see.
So were you guys disappointed? I can't wait for the mezcal.
I never get disappointed when there's tequila involved.
I know.
I feel like we're all winning.
And you know what they're trying to do is pull a George Clooney, who made $1 billion off his Casamigos.
And Conor McGregor made a ton of money off of his whiskey. Sean Combs, I don't know.
Sean Combs did too.
Yeah.
Ciroc.
I think everyone's in the game a little bit.
Bethany Frankel with her Skinny Girl Margarita, big buku bucks.
And Lil Boozy has boozy juice.
I have no idea what that means.
I got to get my hands on that.
We'll be right back.
The Sun.
Hey Beauty Blasters, it's Wednesday and that means we're talking some beauty gossip. Yes, queen. Now I have all the hottest beauty tips, tricks, and some of the gossip that's going on in Hollywood, so let's get started now. Now, first up that's happening lately is John Legend released a song about skincare. Can you believe it? Cause I couldn't. Now, after I remembered who his wife is, Chrissy Teigen. She is amazing. Her skin is beautiful. She's known for fabulous looks. So you have to think, some of that had to rub off on John, right? Well, it rubbed off so much that he had to make a whole song about his love for a certain product called Patera. That's actually the song's name too, Patera. Say it with me, Patera. It's so cute, right? Now this song is about his love for the essence from SK2, a serum, if you may, that helps to hydrate, brighten, and do a little bit of everything for your skin. It's really wonderful. But even on the launch of this song, he even included his good friend, James Corden, to make sure that he had a couple of extra funny bits in the video. Pop Sugar actually met up with John Legend himself and asked what are some of his beauty tips and secrets. So, you know, I had to dig up on that and see what all of them were. The first one was to make sure that you have a multi-step skincare routine.
Back to DBL, today's Heart Threads is all about positivity. Our very own Brandon London shows us how a community is rallying behind a little boy with a heart condition.
This little boy got a huge surprise before a major heart surgery. Mason Dinger, born with heterotaxy, already had 2 major surgeries by age 5 and was due for another to keep him stable.
We're hopeful to buy at least, maybe hopefully 10, 15 years before he needs any more intervention if there's no cure for congenital heart defects. And we're hoping to raise some awareness about this because we need more funding.
Before the surgery, his school decided to give him a huge send-off. Everyone wore green shirts and cheered in support of Mason. He also met his favorite superhero and got a ride to his favorite barbecue restaurant. Seeing Mason so upbeat despite his health struggle was inspiring to faculty.
Just to watch him go through this journey and do it so bravely and so courageously and just, with a smile on his face, he's been through a lot.
Mason and his family have a tough road ahead, but they've seen there's no end of support from their community.
We're so grateful for community and for the school district and for everybody's help put this together.
Keep up that positivity, Mason. Coming up on DBL, soccer star Megan Rapinoe gets candid with Anderson Cooper, and we've got the highlights. And Kourtney Kardashian gets sad about turning 40. So do you feel bad for her or not? We'll be right back.
What's up, guys? Oh, I'm just getting a message in the booth. I got to do the whole next block while my co-hosts just relax and kick their feet up. I see how it is. Anyway, what's up, y'all? Doing a couple comments here. Karen G-E-S, I like that. She says, this is in with our fifth host discussion with the different prices for the black and the white patrons. She said, maybe have a pricing structure that allows for those that are less fortunate and not able to pay as much. Maybe they should be given a break on price. Don't base it on race. Karen, you literally read my mind, or did you hear me? That's weird. But I agree. I think that allowing people to pay on what they can afford, especially in a situation like this, is a great way to go because, believe it or not, and I've talked to a lot of people that sell merchandise after show, so I actually do have some experience with this. Instead of having a set price, a lot of people have a donation. So if they're giving away posters or hats or T-shirts, usually not T-shirts, you want people to pay for those, but if you're giving away buttons or something like that, you have a donation thing out there. And a lot of times people will pay what they can really afford. So you'd be surprised, Karen. I think that could work. Naomi says, happy hump day at Thomas McGee. No shout out to us, just Thomas McGee. We see how it is, Naomi. Anyway, happy hump day to you, Thomas. Let's see. Mr. Michael Loveland says, time to get back to storm watching again. Is looking for a storm more interesting than us? I submit that it is not, Mr. Loveland. I hope there's not a storm in your area. I don't know about you guys, but I get sucked into those tornado marathons that they have on the Weather Channel. I don't know what it is. Looking at footage from the early 90s with tornadoes, I don't know. It just draws us all in. And the Weather Channel knows it, and they take advantage of it, and they take my Saturdays away along with true crime docs on Lifetime and Oxygen. So I see what you're doing over there, City Confidential. I've taken many naps to those shows. I don't know why it's relaxing to listen to murders, but we all kind of like it. That's kind of weird. All right, let's get to one more comment before I have to go do my job. And that would be Karen Guess Again. She's talking about a story coming up about somebody crying about turning 40. She says 40 is nothing, but at the same time, I can't believe she's 40. I can't believe I'm 40 deuce as well. I mean, it's a tough road to climb, but I'm willing to do it for everybody. I think I'm the oldest person, not only on the staff, but here in Colorado. I'm more like an elder. I have a walking stick. You guys can't see. It's right underneath the desk, but I'm blazing the way for other old folks, showing them we can still do it. So with that said, check out this DBL Drive. Love y'all. Welcome back to DBL. Now, car sharing is so convenient. It's become our new norm, let's be honest. So my girl Tori and I share our take in this DBL Drive presented by my people. Tori, we're in like rideshare. It's completely taken over our culture. Who would have thought that 10 years ago, if you basically asked anybody on the road, hey, are you also kind of a de facto taxi driver?
Right,
like,
right.
Yeah.
I know, and so many of our friends are, and so many people are. It's also funny that we were told, don't get into strangers' cars, and now we're like, get into strangers' cars as fast as possible.
Next time you get into a car share, remember these tips. Ask your driver to share their route. You can ensure it's your preferred route, and you'll know your surroundings. Rate your driver. Help keep good drivers on the road and bad drivers off. And for your own car, get an auto protection plan with CarShield. CarShield protects their members from the high cost of auto repairs. Call 1-800-505-9619 for a free quote.
Fresh off her World Cup win, Soccer star Megan Rapinoe chats with Anderson Cooper and proves why she's so likable.
So embarrassing, actually, because I'm just very gay.
Then, poor little rich girl, Kourtney Kardashian, cries about turning 40. Is she out of touch, or does she deserve your sympathy? Plus, the stars turned out for the Lion King premiere, the fashion roundup, and Beyoncé's hot new song from the soundtrack, when DBL comes back.
Well, then you're probably fine. Hi, guys. Just giving Mike some advice on how long his eggs will last in his fridge. Random. Anyways, I've got a trending story for you right now. It's actually a really funny one out of Utah. So a rehabilitation center there posted it on Facebook. They're a wildlife rehabilitation center. And they posted a story about how they got a call from a man. They got a message from a man who said he's had too much to drink, but he found a bird who's hurt on the ground. So they got this voicemail to their system. About an hour later, an Uber rolls up, and the bird is in there by itself. So the man had picked up his Uber and called and gotten the bird an Uber, and they actually named the bird Petey. It turns out he was just severely dehydrated and he was just a little bit hungry. But yeah, Petey is okay now. He's going to be released into the wild in a couple weeks here, so he's better now. Jeff's making faces at me in the background. I think if he had heard this story and not walked in at the end, he would have thought it was a great story.
I was pulling for Petey.
Yeah, so this guy, he got a little tipsy. He found a bird on the ground that was like struggling and hurt. And he didn't know what to do, so he called an Uber, put the bird in the Uber, and sent the bird to the rehabilitation center. So,
that's a good idea.
So the bird just showed up at the rehabilitation center by himself in an Uber, and then now he's okay. Petey the bird.
Oh, way to go, Petey. What kind of bird was it?
I'm just a little bird. I don't know. I don't know.
It was just a regular bird? It wasn't like an exotic?
No, it was just like a man saw a bird and it was on the ground. It was maybe struggling, and so he wanted to help it.
Oh, that was nice. Good
yeah.
for him.
Turns out he was just dehydrated and hungry.
That's all. Get a little eyedropper.
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Because everyone's talking about this.
Always live, always real, always unpredictable.
You think this hair just naturally stays like this?
Log on and join our live conversation.
I can't believe I'm saying this. I do agree with you.
DBL starts right now.
Welcome to DBL. We are live and we're talking about what you're talking about right now, so let's get started. The U.S. women's soccer team's fight for equal pay is taking center stage. The team star Megan Rapinoe sat down with CNN's Anderson Cooper to talk just about that, but she also had a message for President Donald Trump. Watch.
Your message is excluding people. You're excluding me. You're excluding people that look like me. You're excluding people of color. You're excluding, Americans that maybe support you.
Megan also opened up about her sexual orientation and says she didn't realize she was gay until college. Take a listen.
I knew when I was like 6. How can you not know?
I know. It's so embarrassing, actually, because I'm just very gay.
Did you not? You knew about gay people?
Yes, totally. I did. I know. It's
Okay.
like, I couldn't see the forest for the trees. It was crazy. It's embarrassing.
I just love, Erica, seeing this open conversation on national news, 9 o'clock at night with Anderson Cooper. We've come a long way. We really have.
The fact that she and Anderson Cooper are having that conversation together is liberating a lot of people right now, and I'm very excited for those young people who get to see that and understand also. I mean, most people who I know who came out have said, I've known since I was 2, I've known since I was 3. But a lot of people just aren't even thinking with that type of brain, and she's an elite athlete. Like, that is her love.
That's what she said. She was focused on her sport. She didn't even think about dating. Boys, girls, none. So, yeah, I think
Was that with you with swimming? Was that your boyfriend?
It was my boyfriend till about 17. So, yeah, my first boyfriend was at 17, and I was committed to my sport, and that was my love. So I can completely understand where she's coming from. And at that time, yeah, it could have been a girl or a boy. I never really thought about it until then.
Do you think you can be like an elite athlete and also focus on your romantic life, or do you think you have to be just like crazy kind of Tiger Woods with it?
Most of my friends that were at that international level were
focused on their sports. But you were a very well-to-do football player. But
Well-to-do.
Well-to-do.
Was he wearing a monocle out there?
I was having some fun.
You were having some fun?
Yeah, of course.
You have many girls show up to the game?
What are you talking about?
You looked like somebody's great auntie. Many girls.
Yeah, we
many
had a
girls
milkshake after.
I just imagine many girls.
You have one piece of hair here. It's driving me crazy.
I just imagine many girls came and supported you. Did they cheer you on?
I don't know. Sure. Yeah.
All right. This next story has some of you sympathetic, some not so much. Kourtney Kardashian is opening up about turning 40. She celebrated her birthday in April, but leading up to it was very hard for her. Watch.
I feel like I want to cry.
Why?
Just because it's like, it gives me anxiety. I have so much, and I should just be so happy.
But you're not happy?
I mean, I am, but then sometimes I'm just like, it makes you really like analyze just like where you're at. And then I'm like, sometimes like, what am I doing?
I can see how people look at this and they're like, boo-hoo, cry me a river, you're rich. You know what I mean? But a lot of people, once they get everything, quote unquote, in life, you know what I mean? They deal with internal problems. And this is an internal problem going on with her, but at the same time, I kind of feel like everybody else a little bit too. What do you mean where I'm at in life? You're at the top.
You're literally in a mansion on top of a mountain.
I think it was that line that got me. Because I know that anxiety, mental health issues do not discriminate. You can be the richest person in the room. You could be the poorest person in the room. But when she said, I just don't know, like what I want, like I feel like you have it all.
Well,
is it subjective, Erica? Are we not being fair?
I think it's very subjective. I think sometimes you get to a point in your life where you have everything that you've ever wanted and everyone believes that you should ever have. And then you realize that there is something missing. And I think what she's saying is there's something missing for her. And a part of her success hasn't been an individual success. So maybe she needs to step out of that Kardashian bubble and discover who she really is, because clearly everything that's around her hasn't been 100% her doing.
Yeah, I mean, she should worry about stepping out. She should save her strength at that age. I'm 42.
Did you have anxiety
Not
turning
at
40,
all.
you two? Did you have any anxiety turning 40?
You think about it, right? You think about it. You're like, man, I can't believe I'm 40. You know what I mean? And you're like, what?
Yeah, it's, I mean, definitely, you know what it is? I used to always make jokes like, oh, I'm getting old, and people would be like, shut up, and now people don't do that anymore. They're just like, yeah, so what do you want to get to eat? And I'm like, hey, make this okay.
Could you chew this all right?
Yeah, I know, right? We'll go to Boston Market and get some applesauce. It'll be great.
Hey, I'm only about a year and a half away.
Are you getting anxiety?
No.
Are you going to have a big blowout for your 40th?
No.
Why not?
I don't know. Seems a bit much.
40's a good one, though. 40, if you're going to do it, like 40, I think, is like the one to do it.
All right.
Okay.
Maybe I'll go to Vegas.
Don't look at me. I do it every year.
Yeah, Erica, do it.
Hey, you got to celebrate this life. Why are we here?
That's right.
I like that motto. I really do. This next story is leaving a lot of people upset. There's a new HBO documentary that goes deeper into that infamous texting suicide case, and it looks at the teen at the center of it all, Michelle Carter, and her then boyfriend, Conrad Roy III. She was convicted of involuntary manslaughter in 2017 for pressuring Roy to kill himself. Now, some say the documentary is too sympathetic towards her. Take a look.
The defendant's own words. His death was my fault. I told him to get back in.
Mr. Roy himself stated, I want to die.
She thought she was doing absolutely the right thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I almost got caught swearing on camera. Get out of here. Just because, I don't like this. Just because you paint a picture during a documentary, even though I've been influenced by these documentaries too, I don't know. I don't like the way of this sounds.
The fact that people are feeling like it's too sympathetic towards her, I understand. Oprah has this really famous speech that she talks about in 1989 when she decided to do intentional programming. There was a woman of a 16-year-old daughter who was killed by her boyfriend, and she told the mother, I plan on exploiting your daughter and her story so that every 16-year-old girl and every boy out there can see themselves in your daughter and her ex-boyfriend. And
it could save lives.
Right. So I understand why it seems like it's sympathetic, but I also can understand the need for people to see themselves in her.
That's an interesting point, but as a parent watching that, I'd be infuriated knowing, I mean, we've all read the text messages, we've all seen how, in my mind, malicious they were, psychotic they were, and I would not want to see somebody complicit in my son's suicide be somewhat have sympathy for.
So here's another way to think of it, though. If someone that you knew and cared about in your life was having some type of chemical imbalance and thought that it was normal and watched this documentary and realized that their thoughts were a lot like hers and it saved them from doing something similar.
That would help me. That would help me.
This documentary, she just said her intentions were good to get him out of that car. If they have the very same thoughts, that's not good to think like that.
No,
and if this lawyer's spinning it that way to get her off, that's not good.
Well,
you know what
I think
I'm saying?
we have to watch the documentary to really understand what the context of. But it was my thought that they were saying this is what she was thinking. So if another young girl was thinking that, now they know that it's not the right way to think.
That's. I mean, you're spinning it positive. I enjoy that.
Yeah. I enjoy that.
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's clear. I mean, it's written in black and white.
She seems like a psychopath to me.
It doesn't. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, they can save other people.
It looks like we're sitting here as four people that are level-headed, evaluating two people that needed to be under some doctor's care. And so I think when you start trying to, what do you always say, Eric, when you try and analyze something normal with
make sense out of nonsense?
Yes, it's hard to do. So great pull out my
Good interpretation there, Al. Appreciate it.
I was picking up what you were laying down.
Al totally changed my mind.
All right. Meghan Markle is under fire right now for asking for privacy at Wimbledon. The Duchess had requested no one take photos of her. Now actress Tatum O'Neal is saying she tacky. Watch.
You're now one of the people. You're a royal. You are not an actor or a, to have a bodyguard muscle somebody out. I just think is so tacky.
Tackier than that interview?
But she is an actor, isn't she?
Well, but it is tacky, in my opinion. I love me some Meghan Markle, but no other royals do this. I mean, you are paid by the people. You get these free tickets from the people. You're not an actor where you can just demand no photos,
other royal
please.
has this position that she has.
Yeah, but
she's coming from the real world into this one, and she's probably like, enough's enough. I want to hang with my friends. I get it. Her position should be to always take pictures. Everyone wants that.
I can have
of their
empathy
favorite
for that.
celebrity, right? But sometimes you're just not in the mood.
Totally can have empathy for that, but in her position, it's a very coveted position. You work for the people, and the people.
So that includes smiling at tennis matches?
Yes,
for
it
actors?
does.
I think it does. I think it's part of your job. Erica, what's that face?
Because, I mean, let's be honest. Even if another royal had done this, we wouldn't be hearing about it nor talking about it. I mean, this is a woman who fell in love with a man who loves her, and now she has this responsibility. And I don't know if I had a situation where I fell in love with someone and I had to take on this responsibility, I likely would just take on the responsibility because I know how hard true love is to find. So every time she's criticized for not being good at her job is to love her husband, and his job is to love her. And also she's on maternity leave, which we talk about all the time, and the importance of new mothers having their time. So yeah, I think it's perfectly fine for occasionally for her to be like, you know what, I really would like to be here on my own.
Not as a royal. She works for the people.
I'm just saying.
We rest our case over here. What do you guys think?
If the president of the United States came out and the First Lady said, no photos, please, we would be in an uproar. And we look at the royals, or at least the United Kingdom looks at the royals even differently than that. They work for the people. And it's
that's not fair, because you said the President of the United States, their son. If they said no photos, that's the comparison, right?
I don't know, because they're taking advantage of incredible benefits. There's a lot of benefits that comes with this, and the price for that is you losing some of your personal freedom and people taking pictures of you, and you lose that because you get to fly around in helicopters and go to polo matches.
Well, I'll remember that if I ever have a child, not to come in before my maternity leave is over, because then I have to sit at the desk.
Yes, but that child
it's the same. It's a job.
No.
You said it's a job.
She's at
a job.
She's at a Wimbledon match, getting photos taken of her, and her child was not there at that match. It's different.
I think me and Erica won.
Oh, no. I agree. Either we're for maternity leave or we're not. I'm for maternity leave.
She's watching tennis.
She's on maternity leave. She can go and watch a tennis match.
She can wave to the cameras.
She couldn't smile at a tennis match.
Erica pulled out the maternity leave.
She's on maternity leave.
Working on a construction site. She's just sitting there.
I didn't make this up. These are facts
People, they're back. Coming up on DBL, the blockbuster Lion King remake debuts next week, but the film stars are celebrating already at the premiere, and Beyonce has a new song hot off the soundtrack. Why diehard fans will definitely approve when we come back. Ooh.
How you guys doing? Look tan.
You guys are doing a nice job.
You out on the beach and everything?
Mine
isn't really working.
Oh, yeah, you were with Wisconsin.
So we're on right now? On the golf course.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
So we have people
Are
already
you
chiming
hot?
in. Well, you're in a coat.
I know it's hot in here, but I feel like we make the temperature for the women in here, and I feel like that's a little sexist.
Yeah,
The temperature's set at 70 degrees. That's pretty average.
I don't think so. How do you know?
What do you mean?
I think you just made that up. Where?
What do you guys
Go,
keep?
it's
What
in
do
the
you guys
back.
keep it on?
70.6
Jeff,
every day.
Jeff,
70.6
what do you keep it
every
on?
day.
We're under these lights. It's hotter under
What's your house at usually?
71.
Mine changes.
Mine's 72.
Mine changes. In the winter, 69.
You know why?
Yeah. Well, because the heat's always coming on and off. And then in the summer, 72.
Okay.
Because otherwise our heat runs constantly. It never feels like 69.
It took me a long time, and I didn't realize it was crazy until I started sharing rooms with comics when I was coming up, and they
What do
only
you
give
like-
you one hotel.
I
keep
can't
my room
sleep at
super
72.
hot because
Oh, I could never.
I live with my dad. Like old
No.
black men keep the house at like 87 degrees, so I was just used to it. And the
That's
other
too
comics
much.
would be like, "What is wrong?"
Yeah, I
with
need
you?
to sleep at like 68.
So I Curb Your Enthusiasm with Leon and Larry.
Yeah.
You know, so Larry's like, I need it like at 70. And he's like, 70? Are you crazy? He's like, black people, 85 at least. And he's like,
Oh my
what,
God.
85?
My
And it's like
dad's
Vanessa
house would
Williams.
just
It's
be like,
hilarious.
God.
You know,
That's so funny because I didn't even see that episode. And I know, like
It's so
my dad,
funny
the
that you
house
said
would
that.
just be something cooking, like the heat's on. I'm like, why is it so
That's-
hot?
It's
in
so
here?
funny.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a real thing.
Oh, it's a real thing.
That's hilarious.
We have a couple of comments regarding Meghan Markle. Chelsea Cole says she is still human. She wants privacy. She should get it. Michael Loveland says, so Princess
She lives in a
Meghan.
palace.
Someone else says, Heather Tews on Facebook, give her a break already. Cameras in your face, steady. That is just going overboard. She's at a public event. She's at a public
But does
event.
that justify her having to be royal?
Yes, she's in the royal box. It's
photo op.
paid for by the royal family. It's paid
What if
for
she was
by the
having a bad
people.
day? What if something happened that was bad?
Then go back to your palace.
Wow, welcome back to DBL. That was a clip from the new Lion King, which hits theaters next Friday. Stars were out last night for the world premiere, and already critics are calling the animated remake a masterpiece and a visual experience. You already have a story about it.
Yeah, I can't wait because we're already prepping my son. So every
yeah.
time it comes on the TV, we're like, Lawson, look, because we're trying to make him like
excited.
theater. It's going to be his first theater movie. So it came on the other day, and I was just telling you this story yesterday. I go, Lawson, the Lion King's on, and he has a piece of cheese and comes running around the corner, and he stepped on a toy airplane and just wiped out. So he went from pure excitement to crying on the floor. I'm like, this has nothing to do with the Lion King.
Negative association.
Yeah.
I believe the
It's
psychologists call
going
it.
to be incredible.
I can't
think I'm going
wait.
to cry my whole way through it because it's just such a beautiful movie.
Oh, and he's going to love it, and I'm going to love taking him his first movie. I'm really excited about it.
That is exciting.
Really,
And also, we got to get over to our resident fashionista.
Me?
Because not you. You're also Al Fashion Jackson, but Steph Jones knows her stuff.
Stephanie!
And she has all that we want to hear about the looks last night.
This one's for you, Al. Okay, so celebs hit the red carpet for the world premiere in LA, and they didn't disappoint, especially the men. Donald Glover, who voices Simba, rocks Gucci, and he looked very 70s. And Seth Rogen voices Pumbaa, and he also kept it super retro in Prada. And Eric Andre, who voices one of the hyenas, went for it in all pink. Love the look. And we can't forget the ladies. Beyonce, who voices Nala, wore diamond-covered custom Alexander McQueen and brought her daughter Blue Ivy in a matching skirt, so cute. And Destiny's Child was in the house. Michelle Williams stunned in this mirror gown, and Kelly Rowland nailed the theme with animal print. But I've got to say, if this was any other red carpet, this would have been a miss from me. Back to you guys.
Wow, how cute that Beyonce and Blue Ivy were twins on the red carpet.
They're always twinning. I don't hear anybody hating on it, and that's wise.
Speaking of Beyonce, she not only stars in the film, but she also dropped a brand new song for the soundtrack. Are we ready to hear it?
Yes.
Hit it. Woo, Beyonce produced an entire album featuring multiple artists, and that drops July 19th.
I like that cover photo. That was
There's
dope.
another one where they're facing each other, and the aesthetics is just like, it's incredible. Like she is a visual genius.
I know.
It's incredible.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Well, you're going to see a lot of the characters are going to somewhat resemble their character animals on film through certain facial expressions.
No way.
Yeah, the artists want to make sure that even though it's the live action version of it, that they still resemble who's playing them. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could do that with the live animation.
I don't know how it works.
Did you just make that up?
No. No. Why would I
Way to
just
give out
make
show
that
credibility.
up?
She goes, yeah, I've been doing that the whole time.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. It sounded too cool to be true.
Coming up on
Sam's
DBL.
also a visual genius.
Going gray doesn't have to be difficult. We'll show you how one woman's hair color journey could inspire you next.
Nation, I have a new survey to bring you, which I didn't quite believe at first. It is from Edelman Intelligence, and it says 53% of Californians want to move out. Now, as someone who loves California and loves LA, and my family lives in Marina del Rey, I found this kind of hard to believe, but the main reason was high cost of living, and then that made sense. So if anyone lives in California, you're watching from California, and you want to leave, where'd you want to go? Because if I had to go anywhere, I'd want to go to California. So I don't quite see where you'd go next, because anywhere else that's warmer, you go over to like Florida, it's too humid. It's too much. I was just there a couple weeks ago. So let me know in the comments, and I will talk to you next break. Bye.
Welcome back to DBL. Your first grey hair can be a terrifying moment, especially for us women, but there's a new trend of ladies embracing their grey locks. I mean, look no further than Jamie Lee Curtis, Monique and Diane Keaton for proof. And it's not just Hollywood. Pinterest searches for grey hair skyrocketed 879% last year. So I met one lady ready to embrace her silver lining and discovered there's a lot you guys need to know before you make the jump. Check it out.
My name's Sue. I'm in my 60s, and my hair started to turn gray when I was 25. And I've been coloring it for decades. For a while it was black, for a while it was bleached platinum, for a while it was red. And then for the last few years, I've really been trying to just lighten it. And I'm really looking for a way to not have to be in the beauty shop every 3 weeks to cover up the gray. It's just got to be too much.
Today we're here to talk about grey hair and the trend that we've seen filtering through. Have you had a lot of people asking for this?
Yes, grey has become the new epic revolution of hair transformations. Younger women wanting to have that grey, that purpley, that really icy hue of hair. And so yes, it's become quite a trend.
I'm really excited to have it be completely gray.
Sue here is our perfect example of what we would consider a transitional grey. So she is now to the point where she would like to embrace it, but she colored her hair for years.
I think we've all been socialized just to make sure that we look young, whatever that might mean, instead of looking like who we are, when we are, how we are.
All right, let's do this.
I'm excited about it in an old punk rock kind of way. If it's not really the right thing to do, I'm a little more in favor of it. So I'm really looking forward to having it be as silver as possible, but yet look kind of cool. For women thinking of embracing their gray, I'd say just go for it. You can do it.
We'll be right back.
Promotion.
Happy Wednesday. I hope you're all doing fabulously. If you were just watching on the show, we were doing a piece on going grey and embracing your natural hair colour, which for women, you know what, it's actually a really scary thing because, you know, we see all these images in the media and of women still having coloured hair until, like, you know, well, forever. And it is like a sign of age, isn't it? But now, having grey, silver, you know, purple rinse, lilac-y tones is like the coolest thing ever. And like I was just saying, 879% of searches on Pinterest, like the percentage has gone up that much for grey and silver hair. So it's a huge, huge trend. We see loads of celebrities. We saw like Nicole Richie, and she's what, in her early 30s, is like gone like a silvery grey, and it's like such a pretty tone. And we were talking on the show earlier this morning, if you watched in the morning shows with Sam Shocker, she was saying she would look awesome with like a purple colour, like a purpley rinse. Like, it's like just the coolest thing ever. It looks amazing. So we did this really lovely piece with a lady that she's been trying to transition her hair for quite a long time, and she had like dark hair, kind of like more like my colour, like a brunette-y tone. And so she was trying to lighten and lighten and lighten it so that she didn't get that horrible kind of like a halo. Because I mean, no one wants that, do they? No one wants like grey roots and then like colour. So she was trying to like lighten everything to like a really pale blonde, and then she was like muting that down into more silvery, like ashy tones, and it looked incredible. And you know what, I think it's like the coolest colour ever. You know who I loved? Miranda Priestley in The Devil Wears Prada. If you want to see a really classy grey, oh, she looks amazing. It's gorgeous. So anyway, write us in. Let us know. How did you feel as well when you discovered your first grey hair? Like, oh my God, it's not good. It's not a good time, is it? It's not a good day. But like, you know, when you go fully grey, I reckon embrace and rock it. It'd be amazing. So write us in. Write us in. Tell me, first of all, have you embraced going fully grey? If not, why not? Would you do it? Would you go there? So like, if you're watching and you've got fully grey hair and you colour it, why do you colour it? Is it because you want to maintain looking like youthful? Is it that you couldn't see yourself in any other colour? Or would you consider going fully grey now that loads of celebrities are doing it? Like, let me know. But also, so I don't have it, well, it's in a different way, but I'm naturally a very, like a dark ashy blonde, naturally, and I dyed my hair for the show, and I need to do my roots now, oh gosh, at least once a month. When I was blonde, I never ever had to do it, but because my hair is naturally lighter than this colour, I have to do it all the time, and it's such a pain. I'm not joking, it is such a pain. So, if your hair's really grey, you know, I mean, it's a lot of maintenance, it's a lot of expense too. So maybe just embracing is the way forward. That's what I think. Anyway, I think we're about to go back onto the panel, so I will see you later.
Welcome back to DBL. A man has just pled guilty to stealing a lemur from a California zoo. The 19-year-old took the 33-year-old lemur, Isaac, from the zoo. He was eventually returned. Oh, this
I don't
was
know
a
whose eyes
senior
look worse in that
lemur.
picture. Wow.
Poor lemur, but he is safe. Everything's fine with the lemur.
Is that kid safe? Where did he come? Where did he roll in from?
That's a mugshot.
Yes.
And you know what happened?
What happened?
Is that the authorities at the zoo noticed that all the lemurs were out because he used bolt cutters to get the senior lemur out, which freed all the other lemurs. So then they had to rally all the lemurs, and then they noticed the senior lemur was missing. And that's how they found out he was missing.
I think I speak for everybody when I say don't say lemur again. I think we're at our limit. I don't know. Like, I have like 6 lemurs in me a day, and you butter right up against that.
You have 6?
I got 6.
Wow, that's a lot of lemurs.
Look at how
a lot of daily
cute he
lemurs.
is, though.
Which one?
The lemur. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Bye, guys.
DBL Nation, Kelly Schubert here with the DBL Digital team. I am tracking all the breaking and trending stories. And real quick, just before I get to anything, Hugh Jackman is actually in Denver right now. If you live in Denver and want to go see him, he's at Civic Center Park. He's doing a surprise tour for his new coffee company. So pretty cool. We just saw that was going on here. So that is exciting. The story I want to tell you about, though, is Starbucks. They have a new drink today. It's called the Tie-Dye Frappuccino. People are very excited about it. People are excited about it, but the employees are not excited about it. So I don't know if you remember when that unicorn, Lisa's here! I don't know if you remember when that unicorn Frappuccino came back. Some employees didn't like to have to make it because it was so intricate. Leo's gonna pull the picture up for you. Check out how intricate this one is. Look at all the different colors. Employees actually say it's gonna take them 10 steps to be able to make just one of these drinks because of all the different colors and how they go into the cup. So the good news for Starbucks employees is that it's only gonna be around for 5 days, so they don't have to deal with it for too long. But a lot of them are tweeting that they're gonna hate their work days for these next 5 days because they have to make so many of these drinks. People come in to get it for Instagram, or you have a mom come in to get it for her 5 kids, or something like that. Like, that's a lot of pressure for these employees. Anyway, DBL Nation, let us know. Are you going to try it? It apparently tastes like banana candy. I don't like banana candy. Leo loves banana candy. Anyways, guys, let us know if you'll be trying it, and let us know how it is if you do. Bye.
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Because everyone's talking about this.
Always live, always real, always unpredictable.
You are totally off base here.
Log on and join our live conversation.
I can't believe I'm saying this. I do agree with you.
DBL starts right now.
3, 2. Welcome to DBL. It is Wednesday, July 10th. We are live, and we're talking about what you're talking about right now. I'm here with Tori, Jeff, Al, and I'm Sam. Let's get started. Well, New York is celebrating the U.S. women's soccer team victory with a ticker tape parade. The team rolled up Broadway. There they are, through the Canyon of Heroes, as confetti rained down on them. This is only the second time in more than 100 years that a women's team has been honored with a ticker tape parade. The other time was 4 years ago when the U.S. women's team was honored for winning the 2015 World Cup. Wow.
Yeah.
They are our modern day American heroes right now.
Yeah,
Put gender aside, they are.
Yeah, like sports-wise, I don't love sports, but I follow sports in sort of a historical way. And there's been certain teams that have like spoken for a generation, like the Russian 1980s World Cup against the Miracle on Ice.
Right.
Seabiscuit took us out of a depression and really helped a generation really feel good about something.
You're right about that.
Yeah, and this team right now is fitting into that
equal
pay moment in a way, and they're totally activating on it. I think everywhere they go, you're thinking equal pay, equal pay. It's an incredible movement. They become more of a vehicle for change than just a soccer team.
Honestly, I'm not even making a joke. My 2016 Cleveland Cavaliers, they brought a lot of love to our city. Like, Cleveland had never had a championship, and like when they won, my first thought was about my dad and like how sports in Cleveland like united. Like, that's the way I first started talking to my uncles, because when you're 12 and your uncle's 40, you don't know how to connect with them, but sports is how you do that. And I guarantee you this sparked a lot of conversations in a lot of households. So, well done.
And as you said, I think a lot of young women and men, because we've seen a lot of men advocate for women's rights, but see themselves in them. In fact, during the parade, the U.S. soccer president, Carlos Cordero, spoke, and watch what happened in the middle of his speech. Take a look.
U.S. soccer has invested more in women's soccer than any country in the world, and we will continue to invest.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the swoosh with Nike. You can see the swoosh and not have to see Nike and know it's Nike. You see this women's soccer team and you think equal pay. You think protest. You think really well-spoken activists. It's they stepped up to the moment.
You also think of Megan Rapinoe, but then the president calls her Megan Rapinoe.
Yeah, that was bad.
Listen, I'm not going to call anybody out for mispronouncing things. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But if it's your star player, you would know their name. You know all the star athletes of the Bears, probably.
Yeah. Anyway, let me bring up.
First of all, Sam was so proud of herself for getting Bears.
I know. I didn't want to go.
Come out. You got to.
I just didn't want to go that way. I would just want to go back to equal pay. This is a serious conversation because I've been thinking about this. If there is equal pay, does that mean alimony goes away?
Alimony is gender neutral. If a woman's making more money, she pays alimony to the man as well.
Does it go away?
Yeah, look at Britney Spears.
I'm saying if pay is equal, if we get there, does alimony go away?
No, because in
the household.
Because in a divorce, it depends if someone's employed or not, right? If they're making the same amount and you want to keep the same amount of money that they're used to.
Who do you think pays more alimony, men or women, if you were to guess?
I'm sure men, but I know
they
that
pay
it's
for the rest of their lives to their exes.
Right, but I do know it's gender neutral, so women often have to pay alimony. I do know it's more than that, but I'm hoping it's switching. I think that's more about employment, though, than equal pay.
Just putting it out there.
I feel you.
All right. I'm glad we have these conversations on this show. I really am. This next story has a lot of people fired up, but I think it owes a bigger conversation. There have been too many stories of white people calling the police on black people. That's a fact. Well, some have catchy names. We all know Permit Patty, Coupon Carl. Well, there was another incident in San Francisco. Take a look at this one.
Please call your friend on the call box and have them come down.
They don't have to do that. You could just walk away.
I'm going to call the police right now.
Oh, yes. Call the police.
Please go.
Listen to your son.
Daddy, go. It's the better. I agree with him, Daddy. It's the better.
At Washington.
Let's go. Please, I don't like this. I don't like this.
He's standing in the lobby.
Daddy, I don't like this. Let's go.
Now the white man from the video has responded, and there is more to the story than you might think. He says he did not target the man because he was black, but because his father was killed by a trespasser, and that there have been trespassers and break-ins in his building. The black man in this situation thinks that is no excuse. Watch.
I can understand that he's been traumatized. It's very, very difficult to try to communicate based on his past experiences. Personally, as an African-American male, I've been stopped and harassed at stores, different locations. I would have police officers asking me if I belonged there. But I don't let those experiences shape or define the way I see other people.
Wow. What do you think about this, Al?
This is why I love this show. It gives us a chance to discuss things in a more nuanced way. And it doesn't, yesterday we talked about not lumping in Aziz Ansari with Harvey Weinstein. And because it was taking place at the same time, they just looked at it as sexual offenders, sexual transgressors, even though they were very different situations. I think we're looking at this now. As somebody that lives downtown, where there was a shooting last week in front of my place, I'm not saying, and it was not a black man as far as I know. With buildings, with places where that front door, that key fob is the only barrier between the street where there's a lot of addicts and a lot of junkies and my front door where my wife, my daughter, my son may rest their head. So I do understand. Anybody who's lived in the city has understand this. Now, if he is doing this, we don't know what's in his heart, so that's why we can't speak on it. But I do understand that there could be a situation in which this was not race-based. I'm not saying because no one could know except for that man. But I'm saying there are situations, including myself. There's some somebody that is not a black man that we all know, I would not want in my building. So, you know, I'd rather have Big Chris in there than that person.
Yeah,
so we all know.
I think you just nailed it really quick. I'll just say, I think it's two perspectives here of someone who's been terrorized because of break-ins and someone who's been terrorized because they're a black man and have to suffer that. And it was a perfect storm. And they came together and you see what happened. And no one got aggressive, but you see what happens when past experiences come together. And I think that's new. This is a nuanced, critical thinking kind of story. I don't think he was racist. I don't think the other man was wrong to be annoyed by that. I think they weren't both right or both wrong in this.
You know what's interesting is the narrative of the child, because the child has no sort of trauma or background, and the child just came from a place of common sense and empathy, and we saw how that child reacted. And then we understand that everything gets fogged and diluted, and things alter when you apply your own biases. And they both have their own biases, and they both rightfully so have them.
Right.
But it's important that we talk about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he also doesn't know what security is either, the young child.
Yeah.
My question is, I can't let people in my building. I can't let people into this building.
Right.
What is the proper way? I don't know how. Maybe we should say something. I don't want to put you on the spot. What do I say? I don't care if the person's white, black. I don't care what they are. If they don't belong in this building or my building, how do I tell them without offending that
Jeff,
person?
I wish I knew. And I mean, obviously there is always a racial dynamic to a lot of these things. But I mean, you just don't know who should be in the building. And when your front door, you're really holding the door open for everybody in the building. If you're like, oh, she's got a nice green dress on, she's got to be, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with her. I don't know if she's there to wait for somebody that she thinks is trying to date her boyfriend. You don't know. So it's a tough conversation. It's weird. It's awkward. But you can't just think about yourself in that situation.
But we're having that conversation.
Yes.
And that's important.
Now, at your house, you let people in who you want, but like you're at 650 other people's house at the same time.
You're right. Well, I'm glad we can have a nuanced conversation regarding it, because too many people just read a headline and then they make a decision. Just like this next story, you guys. A grandfather on a cruise ship had been blamed for the death of his granddaughter. Can you imagine? There were reports that the grandfather had dangled the 18-month-old girl out of a window. But now we're getting more context to the story. We're getting new details about her death from the family's lawyer. Watch.
Takes him over to the windows. He thinks it's all glass. There's a wood railing right there. He puts her up on there thinking that she's going to bang on the glass and it's going to be great. And she goes to bang on the glass, and the next thing he knows, she's gone.
Can you imagine? Yeah. Can your worst fear as a grandparent, a caretaker, as a human being, that this would happen to a beautifully innocent 18-month-old. And then you have the whole world villainize you.
Yeah, then you're blamed for it, right? So, and you don't get a chance to speak out. So I researched into this a little. The little girl would always go to hockey games and bang on the hockey rink glass, because that's something kids love to do. So the grandfather was used to doing this and used to having her do that. They even showed a picture. So it wasn't something sort of out of the ordinary.
He probably pointed at the glass.
And they were in the children's section of this cruise ship, right? Now it's 11 stories high, and they thought there was glass there and didn't know who had opened a window. Why you're allowed to open a window in the children's corner, to me, is the enormous negligence here. And I assume Royal Caribbean will be paying
this is
an enormous.
Atrocious. I mean,
horrible.
You worked on cruise lines for
about a year and a half.
Okay, so a year and a half. You can't even go into a New York hotel or Vegas hotel and open your window. Why is this even a possibility?
It seems like a structural deficiency, but I just want to say this to anybody that has to leave a comment, calling this grandfather a name or saying he's a like, this is a family-shattering event.
Yeah.
No one that's associated with this family will ever be the same, and it'll go on like this for generations. So please, we don't need you calling somebody stupid or how could he or I would never. Look, this is an older person who is trying to bond with his granddaughter, and a tragedy happened. And we have to make room in our brains for tragedy. Sometimes terrible stuff happens, and there's another word I want to use besides stuff. And we have to understand that happens, and you can't just, if it was me, you don't know what you would have done if you're 80 and with your granddaughter. You just don't know.
Wow.
That's totally fair.
Yeah, well said. DBL's live, and we'll bring you breaking news as soon as it happens. Coming up, your first listen of Beyonce's new song from the Lion King soundtrack, and it's got a very familiar sound. Plus, Kourtney Kardashian gets teary about turning 40, but does she really have anything to cry about? And you, the viewer, are our fifth host. A music festival is under fire for charging white people more to get in than people of color. So, DBL Nation, could you support an event that offers race-based pricing? Your comments about that coming up next.
Hi there, DBL Nation. Kelly Schubert here with the DBL Digital team. I'm tracking all the breaking and trending stories for you right now, but I think we're going to go to the desk and see what they're chatting about. Let's go. Wow! What's up, guys?
Hey.
How's it going up here?
I don't want to know if it's sad. It's just interesting. A lot of people writing in XOOX, I feel terrible for the grandpa. But then people writing in, it's the grandfather's fault. So right back to what Al was sort of...
Why isn't it Royal Caribbean's fault?
Right, now someone wrote in and said, look, why is it the cruise ship's fault? The grandfather lifted the kid to a level she couldn't reach on her own. So at that point, you think, well, if she can't reach it, you can have a window open. The problem is you're in the children's corner.
The thing is, I could see my dad doing this. I could see my grand.
Especially if you have like a bonding thing with like banging the windows.
Yeah, that's a traditional thing.
My son does that. He's 10 months.
Yeah.
He bangs on everything.
Yeah, Sophie bangs on everything.
No, just right now. He bangs on the windows.
Yep.
You know what I mean? He bangs on everything.
It's just a full-on tragedy.
That's the perfect thing.
And Oprah had a story on where a grandmother unfortunately had backed up not knowing and hid her kid. And she said the only thing that got her through was like wailing, almost like a keening, like an animalistic, because that's the heart of you broken.
I don't think.
I don't know.
This
You come back. She
grandparent
says I
doesn't
can't
even
come back.
want to survive anymore.
That's what she said. She said
that granddaughter was that grandparent's life.
Oh,
trust me.
Like
18 months.
Oh, he's never going to be the same.
No,
he's a shell of himself.
Yeah, it's a tragic accident. I feel terrible for the grandpa.
Yeah.
That was a little violent, bro.
So I am, let us know what you guys think. And if you think, if we're trying to kind of get the feeling that we're trying to read more past the headlines and into the stories, and we're hoping that's coming across, and we want to know, is that something you do as a reader, as a viewer? Are you more discernible because of that? Or are you kind of just binging? Because I kind of am too. Stranger Things is really good.
Stranger Things is really good.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
It's overhyped.
Have you seen
Anything
it?
about children being heroes, get out of here.
I know, he doesn't
Hire some Green Berets and some Army Rangers.
What is
wrong with you?
7-year-old
Spider-Man was a
Welcome back to DBL. It's time for Fifth Host when we talk about what you're talking about. A Detroit music festival is no longer pricing tickets based on race. Now that one performer has backed out and is now receiving, threats from white supremacists. Afro Future Fest representatives say they were charging white people double for tickets to ensure that marginalized communities of color could afford the experience of going to music festivals like this. But local biracial rapper Tiny Jag says she was enraged by the policy and will no longer be performing. So DBL Nation, could you support an event with race-based ticket pricing?
Oh, Sam, it's going to be a good one. Elizabeth from Facebook says, I'm okay with discounting ticket prices for people with low income, but not by race. We are trying to get away from race being such an issue. Let's start by helping poor people of all colors. Elizabeth, I'll second that, and I'll give you one more. And this is just my black folks out there. Imagine if you're at dinner, the bill comes, and a person says, it's $50, but we're going to charge you $10 because you're black.
Yeah.
How offended would you be?
Yeah.
Look, this has nothing to do with race, and it should not be like that. I have an adopted biracial sister. I had a grandmother with skin fairer than Sam's and bluer than Sam's eyes. So you cannot base things just on race. So please, let's get away from this. It's antiquated and embarrassing.
It's insulting in some ways. Yeah, Gail from Facebook says the festival was for a certain community, so they made it possible by offering discounted tickets. Maybe this was not the best way to go about it, but this hate needs to stop. I agree, but 100% agree with Alan. Also, just in the legal perspective here, Eventbrite holds this space. You can't racially discriminate if you're white, black, yellow, or blue. That is part of a protected
If somebody's
characteristic.
blue, I'm discriminating.
You can't. Smurfs are allowed.
Blue Man Group?
Smurfs?
They're terrible.
No, they're not.
I love the Blue Man
Excellent.
Group.
Oh, you don't. You
Yes,
just think
I
you do because you go to
No.
Vegas and you're like, I gotta like this nonsense.
Actually, I saw them
twice.
off Broadway.
Me too, in Chicago.
That's even worse. They weren't even probably the real guys.
They were. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, thanks. Teresa from Facebook says they wanted to get more minorities to attend the festival, but they missed the mark. Now people from all races won't be attending the festival. This is racism.
It's
You could
super
spin it any
easy.
way you want.
Yeah,
it's
it's
racism. I'm done.
All right.
Oh,
Marcos from
Kendra.
Facebook says.
Yep.
Yourself? Okay.
Marcos from Facebook says this is just as stupid as the idea of a straight parade. Well, listen, I think their intent was good in that they wanted to make sure people that couldn't afford to get there were able to get there, but this isn't the way to do it.
Yeah.
Their execution was completely flat
I
out
appreciate
wrong.
you saying it came from a good place, though. Economically, they were trying to do the right
Yeah,
thing.
and Beyonce's done it, you know, for Coachella. She made sure she went to certain communities and made sure that the right people were able to go, but she did it in a very specific fashion.
And tactful, right? You want to be tactful. It's insulting.
Yeah, good point. Thank you for writing in. We love hearing what you have to say. Well, fans hyped up for a Breaking Bad reunion are angry at the show's stars. Why? Well, Raquel Villanueva, please share the details.
Well, Sam, fans say Breaking Bad stars Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul pulled a fast one on them after teasing a hot new project since last month. Now, it all started with this Instagram photo they both posted captioned "soon," followed by a picture of the two that said "even sooner." Breaking Bad lovers were sure a movie announcement was about to drop, but it turns out the two stars are just getting into the liquor game. With a new mezcal called Dos Hombres, online reaction was swift, many calling the news a total disappointment. Now, it's not all bad news. There is a Netflix project allegedly in the works, but we'll just have to wait and see.
This was so lame.
I'm excited for their mezcal.
I'm sorry, you put two mules, and they're known as drug mules, right? These two guys on Breaking Bad, and then, you know, like pen it up.
They're not drug mules on Breaking Bad. They make meth.
Right, and they also help distribute. The whole idea is we think it's a new Breaking Bad, and then you totally reverse it.
I think it's genius marketing.
Yeah.
The marketing for that,
about it.
Everyone was waiting on pins and needles what it is. Now everybody knows exactly about their tequila.
Such disrespect to your fan
But they have it. They have something.
That's about money.
They have something in development with Netflix.
Yeah, allegedly. They did that in the after effect because people are pissed.
Yeah, well, be pissed at me. Send me the check. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah? Well, you got to develop some mezcal first. You don't just get the check.
Well, I don't think they developed it, Sam. I think they got it and put their name on the label.
You don't know that, Al.
Okay,
Also,
yeah, I think
real
they
quick,
do.
Sam, very quick, I want to give a shout out to Shay and the Denver Fire team I saw at lunch today. They all watched this show.
What? Firemen?
And I want to give a
And women?
shout out to Denver
Firemen and women, we love you. Oh, yeah. Coming up, what?
Raj hit the button right when Tori started talking.
Coming up on DBL, embracing the gray and aging gracefully, how one woman's journey could inspire you. And you'll see how a community came together for a young boy facing the medical battle of his life. It's a very special Heart Threads, and it is coming up next.
Your son.
DBL Nation, right now, fans are mourning the death of Rip Torn. He was 88 years old now. He was an actor that you probably recognize from several shows. One of the most known one was The Larry Sanders Show, followed by his movie Men in Black. That's actually how I knew him. But it turns out he was also credited in 200 projects. That is a 7-decade-long career. Wonderful run for him. They said, his publicist said he died in his Lakeville, Connecticut home at 88, surrounded by his family. Now, there was 80 feature films, Broadway plays, and like I said, 200 projects in total. It's a great career, and I will always remember him as Men in Black. He helped shape my childhood, so for that, we want you to know that we are thinking of you, to his family, and I will talk to you next break.
Welcome back to DBL. Today's Heart Threads is all about positivity. Our very own Brandon London shows us how a community is rallying behind a little boy with a heart condition.
This little boy got a huge surprise before major heart surgery.
Mason Dinger, born with heterotaxy, already had 2 major surgeries by age 5 and was due for another to keep him stable.
We're hopeful to buy at least, maybe hopefully 10, 15 years before he needs any more intervention if there's no cure for congenital heart defects. And we're hoping to raise some awareness about this because we need more funding.
Before the surgery, his school decided to give him a huge send-off. Everyone wore green shirts and cheered in support of Mason. He also met his favorite superhero and got a ride to his favorite barbecue restaurant. Seeing Mason so upbeat despite his health struggle was inspiring to faculty.
Just to watch him go through this journey and do it so bravely and so courageously and just, with a smile on his face, he's been through a lot.
Mason and his family have a tough road ahead, but they've seen there's no end of support from their community.
We're so grateful for community and for the school districts and for everybody who's helped put this together.
Keep up that positivity, Mason. Coming up on DBL, soccer star Megan Rapinoe gets candid with Anderson Cooper, and we've got the highlights. And Kourtney Kardashian gets sad about turning 40. So do you feel bad for her or not? We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration.
Hey Beauty Blasters, it's Wednesday and that means we're talking some beauty gossip. Yes, queen. Now I have all the hottest beauty tips, tricks, and some of the gossip that's going on in Hollywood, so let's get started now. Now, first up that's happening lately is John Legend released a song about skincare. Can you believe it? Cause I couldn't. Now, after I remembered who his wife is, Chrissy Teigen. She is amazing. Her skin is beautiful. She's known for fabulous looks. So you have to think, some of that had to rub off on John, right? Well, it rubbed off so much that he had to make a whole song about his love for a certain product called Patera. That's actually the song's name too, Patera. Say it with me, Patera. It's so cute, right? Now this song is about his love for the essence from SK2, a serum, if you may, that helps to hydrate, brighten, and do a little bit of everything for your skin. It's really wonderful. But even on the launch of this song, he even included his good friend, James Corden, to make sure that he had a couple of extra funny bits in the video. Pop Sugar actually met up with John Legend himself and asked what are some of his beauty tips and secrets. So, I had to dig up on that and see what all of them were. The first one was to make sure that you have a multi-step skincare routine. Ooh, John Legend, you just won my heart over, honey. This is the truth, guys. You have to have a multi-step skincare routine to make sure that you're really servicing your skin and all the layers that we have. So that's cleansing, exfoliating, a toner, a moisturizer, a little eye cream, a serum. Make sure you got your steps in order and take care of the skin you're in. Now, the second one for him was a big bathroom. I don't think that's just for everyone. That might not be feasible for everybody, but I do agree that you should have 2 separate spaces for your beauty needs. For his and his, hers and hers, theirs and theirs, whatever it is gonna be, go ahead and have some of that. All right, guys, now for more of his exclusive interview, go check out Pop Sugar's interview. We'll see you next time for Wednesday's Beauty Tea.
Welcome back to DBL. Now, car sharing is so convenient. It's become our new norm, let's be honest. So my girl Tori and I share our take in this DBL Drive presented by my people. Tori, we're in like rideshare. It's completely taken over our culture. Who would have thought that 10 years ago, if you basically asked anybody on the road, hey, are you also kind of a de facto taxi driver? Everybody'd be like, yeah.
I know, and so many of our friends are, and so many people are. It's also funny that we were told, don't get into strangers' cars, and now we're like, get into strangers' cars as fast as possible.
Next time you get into a car share, remember these tips. Ask your driver to share their route. You can ensure it's your preferred route, and you'll know your surroundings. Rate your driver. Help keep good drivers on the road and bad drivers off. And for your own car, get an auto protection plan with CarShield. CarShield protects their members from the high cost of auto repairs. Call 1-800-505-9619 for a free quote.
Here's what's coming up next on Daily Blast Live.
Fresh off her World Cup win, soccer star Megan Rapinoe chats with Anderson Cooper and proves why she's so likable.
So embarrassing, actually, because I'm just very gay.
Then, poor little rich girl, Kourtney Kardashian, cries about turning 40. Is she out of touch, or does she deserve your sympathy? Plus, the stars turned out for the Lion King premiere, the fashion roundup, and Beyoncé's hot new song from the soundtrack, when DBL comes back.
Blue Man Group, and I just found out that Aaron, this is Aaron, guys. Aaron is an amazing person behind the scenes that you might not have noticed. Yay, Aaron! And Aaron, by the way, this dress I bought on Poshmark because I think it's so attractive, so just so you know.
Thank you.
Also, Aaron's cousin is
a blue man.
A blue man! So tell us about it.
So he was a drummer his whole life, so that's like one of the most.
You have to be a drummer.
Top credential. So
you take 6 months for the audition.
Yeah. I was like, you have to be a certain height, a certain body structure. So
yeah, because you have to match, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you have to all look pretty similar. He's been doing it, I think, for like 15 years probably.
So he's captain.
Yeah, he's a captain. He's done Boston, New York, like Las Vegas. He lives in Europe now, so he's in like Amsterdam, Berlin. So I saw him in Berlin, I've seen him in Boston.
Can you imagine in Berlin seeing it and kind of like having some,
yeah,
you know,
so
just
I've got
enjoying
some
yourself?
Inside info, which I have been sworn to secrecy.
Oh, I want to ask, so if you do this all the time. Yeah, so if you guys don't know,
we actually do the like throw
marshmallows
food across the room and he catches it in his mouth pretty often.
So the whole premise is 3 almost like alien creatures, and they're all dressed in, they're painted blue. They don't speak, and they do drumming, and they paint, and they have this amazing ending that you feel like you're in a drug high. I've never, ever experienced anything like it with toilet paper. It's sort of a really interactive experiment, and it works.
Yep.
So what's his name?
Seamus Sargent.
Seamus Sargent. We salute you, Mr. Blue Man. And if you've seen the Blue Man, give us where and when.
Yeah, maybe you saw him somewhere.
Maybe you saw him.
Over the past decade and a half.
So cool.
Yeah.
Also, isn't her dress cute?
Thank you.
Okay.
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Because everyone's talking about this.
Always live, always real, always unpredictable.
You are totally off base here.
Log on and join our live conversation.
I can't believe I'm saying this. I do agree with you.
DBL starts right now.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to DBL. We are live and we're talking about what you're talking about right now, so let's get started. Well, the U.S. women's soccer team's fight for equal pay is taking center stage, of course, and the team star Megan Rapinoe sat down with CNN's Anderson Cooper to talk about that, but she also had a message for President Donald Trump. Watch.
Your message is excluding people. You're excluding me. You're excluding people that look like me. You're excluding people of color. You're excluding, Americans that maybe support you.
And Megan also opened up about her sexual orientation and says she didn't realize she was gay until college. Take a listen.
I knew when I was like 6. How can you not know?
I know. It's so embarrassing, actually, because I'm just very gay.
Did you not? You knew about gay people?
Yes, totally. I did. I know. It's
Okay.
like, it was, I couldn't see the forest for the trees. It was crazy. It's embarrassing.
What a refreshing dialogue to have, on national news, 9 p.m. at night on CNN with Anderson Cooper. We don't really see this side of him.
I've watched Anderson Cooper my whole life. I love him. I've watched him and his mother in a documentary, Gloria Vanderbilt, who just passed. I've never seen him talk about knowing he was gay at 6 so casually. Huge moment, really opened up. I would love to see them together again. I thought they had really good chemistry. I thought she was excellent.
I think she has a big career in TV.
I think she does. And I know a lot of people are worried about her comments, but you have to remember, freedom of speech means people are allowed to say things that you don't like.
Yep.
That's okay, too. Everybody gets their say.
Yeah. Well, you know what I want to see in this country, and you always say this, and this is what I respect so much about you, Jeff, is the fact that, listen, you can agree or disagree with a Kaepernick. You can agree or disagree with a Megan Rapinoe. But at the end of the day, we've lost the fact of just listening to one another and say, I don't agree that you kneel, or I don't agree that you stand. We become so extreme. We become so divisive. And I just hope that we can come back to disagreeing, but with respect.
Yeah, I think that's what we're all striving for, right? I kind of.
It doesn't feel that way.
I know, but I kind of get people's
doesn't.
anger. Listen, I love her message. I love their conversation. I thought they were great together. I like when people win something and they discuss whatever they want to discuss. But at the same time, I want to see people win and be like, listen, when we played Russia, it was really close, or when we beat France, it was like that. I want to hear more about what you're there for.
I don't think you can do that anymore.
I know. I don't like the political agenda.
And I know.
I don't care. You're a soccer star.
I know.
I don't care what you think about Trump.
I know you don't. And I think here's the point that I have to make is I know, but you can't even be a teenager and not be an activist. You have to be ready.
Well, I don't like that.
I know, but the world has changed. Every brand has to be political. Every brand has to take a side. It's Uber or Lyft.
But I don't.
It's Nike or not.
See, you don't. I don't need to take
and
a side.
A lot of people don't, but otherwise you don't have a brand,
voice, almost. Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't want one. I mean, my voice is my family.
I hear that
You know what
too.
I mean? I don't need it. When I see someone, I was just in the South. It's a very different place, the South, than where we are now in the North. And I see the political divide. I saw it down there. I just stayed out of conversation. They're like, I know you talk about this every day on camera, but let me talk about this. And I'm like, no, I'm not talking about that. You know what I mean? And it just, everything's political. So sometimes I just want to hear someone be like, you know what? I dunked in that dude's face from Japan. It felt good in USA. You know what I mean? Like, bring us all together, even though soccer is kicking, whatever.
Good job, buddy. Great ending.
But you know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
And believe me, you're not alone in your thoughts. Trust me. Well, this next story has some of you sympathetic, some of you not so much. Kourtney Kardashian is opening up about turning 40. She celebrated her birthday in April, but leading up to it was very hard for her. Watch.
I feel like I want to cry.
Why?
Just because it's like it gives me anxiety. I have so much and I should just be so happy.
But you're not happy?
I mean, I am, but then sometimes I'm just like, it makes you really like analyze just like where you're at. And then I'm like, sometimes like, what am I doing?
Look, I'm going to take a really hard stance on this one. And I know you know I'm the Kardashian fan. I think they're a tight-knit family. They have good girls. They respect each other. They're there for each other. I think you have to understand this, and I'll look right into the camera. Depression does not discriminate. And if you think because she has money, that's okay for her to not feel anything, you are wrong. Anyone of any color, race, sexual orientation, gender, billionaire, or poverty can experience a chemical imbalance or depression at any time. The more empathy we feel for people like this, the more it spreads. Do not stigmatize people who have depression. Do not act like you don't understand it. Move on and understand we are all on one team. We're human beings, period.
It's really well said. And, you know, we always say we're going to be honest on this show. And coming from someone that's dealt with depression and anxiety, my first reaction to her wasn't empathy. And I have to check myself for that. My first reaction to her was, what do you have to complain about considering? And believe me, I know that anxiety and depression doesn't discriminate.
You definitely know.
I think it was the line in there. And I shouldn't have to nitpick what this woman says. I shouldn't police her thoughts, right? The line in there was when she said, you know, pretty much like, I'm I'm not on top. I don't know what to do with my life. When in reality, you know, you're one of the most successful women in the planet. So for me, I took issue with that line, but who am I to even take issue with that?
Right, and she has 3 kids. She's not married. Her husband's getting married, we think, her ex, to a very young superstar, Lionel Richie's youngest daughter. It's confusing, and I think being Kardashian on live TV is confusing. I don't care how much money you have. It can happen.
Get where other people are coming from.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, she's not married, so are a lot of people that don't have any money.
It came from it's also, we got to provide some context here. It came from the question of, you're about to turn 40.
Right.
And then I don't know, something in me just, I have the empathy for the anxiety part, but her answer to me felt more like, I don't know what's going to happen next in my life.
Because when you have everything,
she's so privileged.
when you have everything in life that you could ever dream of, the only thing, your only battle left is your mental positivity or mental health. And that's what she's battling right now.
Yeah.
She has no more life battles, even though she's like, I don't know what's coming next in life. How about you're done?
But I don't think you can say because you're rich, you don't have any more life battles. I don't think that's fair to say to someone.
Get in here.
And I was just going to say really quickly, let's not forget the role that gender plays here. A man can become a silver fox. For some reason, as women get older, they are stigmatized. They are less looked at as, you know, the beautiful objects. And they're like, oh, there's just an older woman over there. Whereas, like, you know, Sean Connery was 80 years old, and girls would be like, I'd still take him. You know, there's a thing where women do feel, and I think that's why your birthdays are just not as celebratory as guys. You rarely see guys crying at their 40th birthday, where it's not that crazy.
Because she looks terrible, by the way.
She's gorgeous, right? It just feels a little out of touch to me. And please correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't even want to convolute the conversation about you know, mental health, and then I just feel like this is somebody with so much privilege. I mean, how do you think most people are worried about paying their bills to put food on the table for their children? I'm trying to separate the two from her anxiety from turning 40 and what's next in her life and her mental health.
Right. Is there a separation from depressed and depression?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, and you're right. And anxiety, you're absolutely right. And I don't mean to meld them together. You're right. I should be more discerning. But any human being should have an experience of turning 40 and being in the limelight, and we shouldn't expect them to have 0 life battles. I think that's unfair and unreasonable, and it just goes to more outrage, and we want less outrage in this world.
I can agree with that. That I can totally agree with. So
I'm not even worked up about it.
Good for you.
What?
I said I'm not even worked up about it.
I never said you were.
She said everyone's outraged.
No,
she meant the public.
Everyone, not you. I don't include you in anything. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Wow, now I'm outraged.
Okay.
All right. Okay, we're going to get to this next story. It's a serious story, and speaking of outrage, a lot of people are upset with HBO because there is a new HBO documentary that goes deeper into that infamous texting suicide case. It looks at the teen at the center of it all, Michelle Carter, and her then boyfriend, Conrad Roy III. She was convicted of involuntary manslaughter in 2017 for pressuring Roy to kill himself. Now the documentary claiming Carter did all this for popularity. Watch.
The defendant's own words. His death was my fault. I told him to get back in.
Mr. Roy himself stated, I want to die.
She thought she was doing absolutely the right thing.
Wow.
So this court, just, you know, this case, just to jump in real quick, is going to the Supreme Court, or they are at least applying for writ of certiorari to go to the Supreme Court. She is claiming, her team, that her First Amendment rights have been violated because she wasn't present at the killing or at the suicide. Only her words were there. And she's saying that those should be protected. I called a family member of mine who's a good attorney, and he believes this is a clear and present danger case in which these words were almost like handing someone the loaded gun, and she will be maintained in jail, is what his opinion.
I agree with that. If that were my son and I read those text messages between the two of them, and how, you know, my son's girlfriend at the time was egging him on, telling him exactly how to do it, what to do, cheerleading him on, almost manipulating the whole situation, I would be outraged, and I would want that person complicit.
I don't know if we're not skipping over the fact that these are two shattered people that we're talking about. We're discussing this as if these are two logical people. These people clearly, it seems like, had some kind of chemical balance going on that allowed them to link up with each other, in sync with each other. So they did have some kind of weird symbiotic thought process where he felt comfortable enough to suggest suicide and she felt comfortable enough to encourage it. There's something going on in a larger dynamic, and this tends to happen with young people, especially with mental illness.
I said that to this family member, and I said, look, lots of people text each other things like that, right? Like mean things or bullying things, or it's a teenage thing. And he says, when it's that progressive of get back in the car,
get back in the car,
shut the door is
shut the door, turn on the car.
A clear and present danger to that teenager who is in a compromised situation. I think she's going back to staying in jail. I think it will not pass.
And do they not think that she has anything psychiatrically wrong with her?
They took a test with a psychiatrist. She seemed to understand good versus evil.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right, this next story, we are switching gears. Meghan Markle's under fire right now for asking for privacy at Wimbledon. The Duchess had requested no one take photos of her. Now actress Tatum O'Neal is saying she's tacky. Watch.
You're now one of the people. You're a royal. You are not an actor or a, you know, to have a bodyguard muscle somebody out. I just think is so tacky.
I think that's tacky. She is an actor. What are you talking about?
Well, she was an actor.
She was an actor.
She's a royal.
She's public. She's right. I think
so. You have to be on all the time.
Yes. You're being paid by the taxpayers to live in a royal box to go to free for Wimbledon. You should have a picture
just the
taken.
one talking about depression and stuff. What if she's having a bad day?
I'm sorry. If you go
then
out,
stay home.
Exactly. Don't go to a public outing in a free box at Wimbledon. That's a public outing, and taxpayers are paying for.
They pay for everything she does.
As somebody that was on,
okay, you can't have a bad day if you're a royal heir. You can't have a bad day,
but you don't.
You have to stay home if you're having a bad day. That's what you're saying.
You can go outside if you have a bad day.
Okay.
But I don't think you should go to the royal box.
Jeff,
so someone meets you and you're going through a fight with your husband, you get a divorce, and you're like, hey, what's up? Can I get a picture with you? You don't have the right to say, I don't want this picture.
If I'm being paid by from all those people, then
it wasn't a random person with a selfie. It was literally the paparazzi and there was a lot of famous people at the event. Nobody else, no other royal, no other famous celebrity was like, no pictures, please. Right. No pictures, please.
But Jeff, what if somebody on Big Brother? What if somebody on Big Brother did that? They're on the show to be filmed. She's on a show, basically a live show to be filmed. That's her job now.
I agree.
You're at a show.
She is. The Truman Show. That's what the Royals are.
She's not walking on the street buying flowers. She's at a very public event. You know what's going to happen when you step into a public event. You're not
So she can't let loose with her friends. She can't just have fun.
Not at the royal box at Wimbledon.
She can, but
whoa, the royal box at Wimbledon.
No, it's paid for by people. She gets for free there.
Get real.
Don't you think that makes her seem a bit entitled?
No, it's a tennis match. First of all, lucky anyone's even watching it.
Wimbledon is fantastic.
The royal box at Wimbledon.
Shame on you, sir.
Get real.
Get out of here.
God.
You don't like tennis?
Who's Tatum O'Neal?
Really? Oscar-winning actress Tatum O'Neal.
Oh, well, have fun at
For what?
Excuse me, what was that question?
For her child acting.
What movie was it?
In the movie with Tatum O'Neal.
Paper Moon.
Paper Moon. What was that about, Sam?
It was a moon that was made out of
Paper Moon.
What was it about?
A child that faced adversity.
Take the earpiece out of your ear.
Coming up on DBL, the blockbuster Lion King remake debuts next week. The film stars are already celebrating the premiere, and Beyonce has a new song hot off the soundtrack. Why Die Hard fans will definitely approve when we come back.
People are asking if you know Tatum O'Neal and that it's Wimbledon, not Wimbledon, which makes me laugh. If you're a tennis fan, let us know. If you like watching tennis, who you like watching. Also, people did not. People saying this Kardashian thing. Why do we need to know this? And who is talking about this is Mr. Vato. Michael Loveland says the Kourtney soundbite made her look horrid as she explored her feelings. It got real and proper for anyone. It was the editing here, methinks. So, good point, could have been the editing, but I'm glad people at least see it. And again, I'm not like, everyone take care, it's Kourtney, she's bad. I'm just like, let's not have a lot of outrage about everything. Let some people, when they're turning 40, it's hard. So let her have a hard day, kind of like that. Want to know what you guys think about, also, we're about to come up on Beyonce's new song. Does it sound too Lion King-y to you, or shouldn't it? Now, Travis, the guy is saying, our camera guy is saying, yes, it is too. It's very, in the circle of, da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na, and it's great, but is it too on the lion's nose? See what I did there? Leo also approves. So, he approves, Travis doesn't approve. So we want to know, is the Beyonce song too Lion King-y? Circle of life.
45.
Oh my goodness. Welcome back to DBL. That was a clip from the new Lion King, which hits theaters next Friday. Stars were out last night for the world premiere, and already critics are calling the animated remake a masterpiece and a visual experience. Ooh, I can't wait. I think I'm going to be in tears the whole time.
Yeah, I was
so beautiful.
I mean, I was 13 and my parents took me to see it on Broadway, and I'm like, I don't want to go see this.
Unbelievable
Little
on
kids
Broadway.
are there. The moment it started, I
stampede
burst into tears. And the elephants coming. It is beautiful.
Beautiful. Very excited. And you're going to take Lawson for his very first theater experience.
Yeah, and we're pumping him up like all the, there's promotions everywhere on TV. So I'm like, Lawson and Lion King. And the other day, he had no shirt on, a piece of cheese. And he comes wheeling around the corner and he stepped on an airplane and wiped out. He started crying. I'm like, that has nothing to do with Lion King.
Let's not confuse.
That's to do with you not putting your toys away.
There you go. A data 3. Well spoken. Right. Let's get over to our resident fashionista, Stephanie Jones, for all of last night's looks at the big premiere.
Celebrities hit the red carpet for the world premiere in LA, and they didn't disappoint, especially the men. Donald Glover, who voices Simba, rocked Gucci and looked very 70s, and Seth Rogen, who voices Pumbaa, he kept it really retro in Prada. He looks awesome. And Eric Andre, who voices one of the hyenas, went for it in all pink. Now that's a look. And we can't forget the ladies. Beyonce, who voices Nala, wore diamond-covered custom Alexander McQueen and brought her daughter Blue in a matching skirt. That is cute. And Destiny's Child were in the house. Michelle Williams stunned in this mirror gown, and Kelly Rowland nailed the theme with animal print. But I've got to say, if this was any other red carpet, this would have been a fashion miss from me. Back to you guys.
Ooh, thank you so much, Stephanie. You are or not?
No, it seemed like Steph wasn't feeling a lot of the fashions.
But what about you, Al Fashion Jackson?
I am. My buddy Eric Andre had the best suit ever.
Neon pink, loved it.
Could I pull that off?
Of course you can. You pulled off a romper the other day.
That's
you
right.
For sure could pull it off.
Never underestimate.
And speaking of Beyonce, she not only stars in the film, but she also dropped a brand new song for the soundtrack. Do we want to hear it?
Yes.
Let's listen. And Beyonce produced an entire album featuring multiple artists, and that drops July 19th.
I would make that my profile pic for social media.
Oh,
That's a
one
dope
for
picture.
each character with their other alter ego. It's beautifully shot.
Wow.
Yeah. Did you like the song?
Yeah, it felt very Lion King-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be like a jam at the beach. I don't know if it's going to be the jam at the beach this summer.
No, I don't know. That's one of those songs I'm like, when do you listen to this? Like when you're sitting in your car?
Yoga, for sure.
How many yoga places do you know that play music?
Mine does.
Yeah.
They play music?
Yeah. More like sun salutation.
Where are you doing
music.
yoga in
Then that's
jail?
not music. You know what? You're right. They do play music.
We'll be right back.
I am Patty Donnelly, and I am the Senior Supervising Producer at Daily Blast Live. I manage the show and the staff, and I oversee creative and help pick the stories. You know, and I also help by just using my past experience to better produce pieces and content on the show. A typical day at DBL for me starts at 6:30 in the morning, and that is super early. So it generally starts with me hitting snooze 4 times and then going to Starbucks and then rolling in at 6:30 on the dot. Whew, it's hard. And in the morning when we come in is my first meeting of the day. It's at 6:30 and it's the creative content meeting, and it's with just 4 other producers and then Chris Clark, the executive producer of the show, and myself. And basically we hear what stories are going on, what has been happening overnight, what the news is, and we start planning the show and what we're gonna put in it and what stories we care about. It's actually my favorite time of the day. It's really fun and it's my favorite thing ever, which kind of sucks that it's like in the morning because after that, then there's nothing to look forward to, but I love that meeting. Since it's such a small group, we laugh a lot and tell a lot of jokes and just come up with some really great ideas because of it, and it's really awesome. What I like best about working at DBL as opposed to other shows is that we have...
Welcome back to DBL. Your first grey hair can be a terrifying moment, especially for us women, but there's a new trend of ladies embracing their grey locks. I mean, look no further than Jamie Lee Curtis, Monique and Diane Keaton for proof. And it's not just Hollywood. Pinterest searches for grey hair skyrocketed 879% last year. So I met one lady ready to embrace her silver lining and discovered there's a lot you guys need to know before you make the jump. Check it out.
My name's Sue. I'm in my 60s, and my hair started to turn gray when I was 25. And I've been coloring it for decades. For a while it was black, for a while it was bleached platinum, for a while it was red. And then for the last few years, I've really been trying to just lighten it. And I'm really looking for a way to not have to be in the beauty shop every 3 weeks to cover up the gray. It's just got to be too much.
Today we're here to talk about grey hair and the trend that we've seen filtering through. Have you had a lot of people asking for this?
Yes, gray has become the new epic revolution of hair transformations. Younger women wanting to have that gray, that purpley, that really icy hue of hair. And so yes, it's become quite a trend.
I'm really excited to have it be completely gray.
Sue here is our perfect example of what we would consider a transitional gray. So she is now to the point where she would like to embrace it, but she colored her hair for years.
I think we've all been socialized just to make sure that we look young, whatever that might mean, instead of looking like who we are, when we are, how we are.
All right, let's do this.
I'm excited about it in an old punk rock kind of way. If it's not really the right thing to do, I'm a little more in favor of it. So I'm really looking forward to having it be as silver as possible, but yet look kind of cool. For women thinking of embracing their gray, I'd say just go for it. You can do it.
We'll be right back.
We're on? We are on. I was waiting for the old signal there. That's the signal. It's nothing that crazy. Hey guys, it is Wednesday. You guys have just seen me doing a piece on the old changing your hair from a colour to grey. Okay, wait.
What's its galore? You want thingamabobbs? I got 20.
Oh! I was like, wait. Let's just pause what we're talking about. Wait, where did this outburst come from, ladies? What is
yesterday? We've been singing it since yesterday. Yeah. We were talking about Ariel, and as soon as you talk Little Mermaid, you love Little Mermaid.
I love the Little Mermaid.
Yeah. We want to know, who do you think should play Eric, Prince Eric? A lot of people say Ian. I'm going to say this wrong. Somerhalder? Somerhalder? Who's the guy, Kelly?
Ian Somerhalder.
Yeah, I can't get that last name. Anyway,
pronounce his name right.
Somerhalder. Somerhalder.
I don't know who that is.
Anywho, they think he should play Prince Eric, and he looks definitely like him.
Oh, he definitely does.
He
I agree.
Yeah, he looks a lot like him.
And some people are saying that Guy Fieri looks like Ursula. I heard Ray told Tori she wasn't allowed to use this lip gloss today, so.
Who was?
We're very.
Terry
it's all
Crews to
over
be
the
king.
moment. Yes, King Triton, yes.
And Lizzo is Ursula, I think would be
Yeah,
good.
I think Lizzo
Oh,
is
yeah,
Ursula.
and she just put on Instagram a picture of her in purple, and it was like a thing. She's trying for
Terry
it.
Crews, but a lot of people are saying Idris Elba, which would be good too.
That would be good. Lizzo as Ursula would be awesome. I think she'd be hilarious. She'd be good. I think Leo is also in agreement with that. I'm not sure. Maybe he's just waving his arms around. He's agreeing. Okay, so before that, we were talking about going grey, and I want to know if any of you guys have written in, talking about changing on natural hair colour. Are you up for taking the grey challenge? Tori, would you dye your hair grey because it's the colour of the? Would you do it?
No, but that's because my tone wouldn't look good.
Yeah,
Jeff's the silver
Jeff's
fox.
the silver fox.
It went from silver to black, and he did not dye his hair.
It's not getting darker. It's just
It's
growing
getting darker.
out a little bit. So
How-
there's more hair.
how do you-
When it's tight, it's
How
all
did you
gray.
feel when you first started going grey though?
I went gray early, 20s.
Oh, so you dyed
Yeah.
it. You dyed it for a long
I
time.
didn't dye it at all till maybe I did it for like a year before I got this job. Like a year before this job, I put in like wash stuff because I felt like I wasn't getting the parts that were young enough.
Oh, I get that.
You know? So I did it for like I would wash stuff in and it would wash out.
I feel
you know?
like now everybody looks like you in these
And
ads.
then after a year, I'm like, dude, I am the old young dad or whatever role. You know what I mean? So I just took it out. I tried it for a little bit, it didn't work, and I took it out.
It's too much maintenance too.
Did you
right?
like the way it looked when you?
No, because
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like anything fake. That's just me. I don't like anything fake, so I felt like I wasn't being real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There you go. So embrace your natural self is
Yeah,
Jeff's
definitely embrace
message.
it.
Yeah. So we're talking about like
You
if
guys
you
are really out of stuff to talk about. Huh?
Yeah.
see ya.
Welcome back to DBL. We love sharing your comments. Tori.
That's right. Veronica just wrote in.
Tori,
said-
could you be any less prepared? You looked at Sam like she just called your name down a hallway. You knew we were coming back with comments.
Actually, I acted that out because I knew what the comment was, but I was trying to make a joke out of it. So thanks for ruining that,
way to
Al.
ruin the bit.
Wow. Well, this won't work now. Veronica wrote in, let us always enjoy Tori's impeccable dress and style because of the lettuce.
I don't think it said that.
Al, it does.
It's an adorable dress.
Yeah,
you look
just
beautiful.
holding the phone doesn't mean
Beautiful.
that
We'll
that's
see you
what it
tomorrow,
says.
same time, same place. Bye, guys.
Hey guys, Kelly Schubert here with the DBL Digital team. It feels like a Friday in here, but alas, it is not. It is Wednesday, but I do have a funny story that's trending for you. It's actually trending across all platforms. You may have seen it already today. A suspect in Missouri, he was on the run for a controlled substance, for having a controlled substance. His police were trying to find him. Police, Leo's making fun of me for this. This is the suspect, here he is. Okay, so police were looking for him in like a wooded area, and they couldn't find him, and all of a sudden, they hear, they were looking for him, and all of a sudden they hear a tootie booty. He passed gas so loudly that they were able to find him in the woods and arrest him. I know, this is a disturbing story, but DBL, I have to keep you guys informed. It's one of the top trending stories of the day. The man was arrested, and it was all because of his tootie booty. Pretty gross. It seems like a time when you would have held it in to be quiet. Anyways, he was arrested, and that was that. The cops actually said they did a really good job of sniffing it out. All right, I'm out of here. Bye.
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Because everyone's talking about this.
Always live, always real. always unpredictable.
You are totally off base here.
Log on and join our live conversation.
You think this hair just naturally stays like this?
DBL starts right now.
3, 2. Welcome to Daily Blast Live. It's Wednesday, July 10th. We are live, and we're talking about what you're talking about right now. And right now, I'm here with Erica, Tori, and Al. I'm Jeff. Let's get to it, guys. New York is celebrating the U.S. women's soccer team's victory today with a ticker tape parade. The team rolled up Broadway through the Canyon of Heroes as confetti rained down on them. Who wrote that? Bill Shakespeare? I love it. This is only the second time in more than 100 years that a women's team has been honored with a ticker tape parade. The other time was 4 years ago when the U.S. team was honored for winning the 2015 World Cup. Back-to-back champions, good for them.
Boom.
And I just want to point out, a ticker tape parade is very special. Since 2000, only 6 of them there are only 6 ticker tape parades. 2 of them win in soccer, and then, of course, the Giants, 2 Super Bowls, and the Yankees, 2 World Series. So this is a big deal.
Huge deal, and they keep pounding out the wins. I just say that this team is ready for this generation. We've had the Miracle on Ice in the 80s. We had Seabiscuit during the Depression to take a whole generation out. Some sports figures make you turn around, and they're ready for this generation. This team is ready for the female equal pay movement, and I just want to show you guys very quickly. This is the U.S. Soccer President Carlos Cordero trying to give a speech about the women's soccer team. Well, look what comes out of the crowd's mouth. Take a look.
U.S. soccer has invested more in women's soccer than any country in the world, and we will continue to invest.
So it's like Nike with the swoosh. You see this team and you think activism, and that's a really amazing thing that I think they've done.
Wasn't it a good thing, though, that they're making the most out of any country in the world? It's not a good thing?
No.
Why?
It's like being the hottest ugly girl. Like, what is that?
What do you mean? I'm not.
Well, it's like someone saying that, like, when someone says something derogatory, and you're like, oh, well, you're not that attractive, but you're the most attractive of the attractive, or the non-attractive.
But then you're comparing men into that being attractive? Like,
no,
are you
I'm saying that he's saying that you're making more, or they're investing more than any other country.
Oh, they're not.
But that doesn't mean anything. You're just saying that they're making more than any other country.
Doesn't mean they're making
that doesn't mean that it's anywhere equivalent to what the men are making. That's not what the argument is.
As far as women go, they're making the most in the whole world.
That doesn't matter. We should be making just as much as the men.
I think we're missing the point. What do we always talk about when we say that, like, you know, there's a company that doesn't market towards a certain gender or a certain race? They always open up a lane for somebody to get in there and do something special. I'm surprised some large corporation like Nike or Under Armour didn't make up the difference to get them to that million, because the PR alone from that would be amazing. I'm just so surprised these companies are missing out on this opportunity to almost step up where the Soccer Federation has failed. Not that they should.
Right.
I'm just saying they could.
But I think legislatively, just to bring you up to date, this morning, Joe Manchin, a senator from West Virginia, Democrat, introduced a bill that said we will not pay the Men's Federation 2026 FIFA tournament anything unless you pay these women the exact same as the men. And what I think that says is it should be an equal playing field, no pun intended. I think Megan Rapinoe wants it legislatively put through. I don't think she wants Nike to come in and give it. I think she wants it done through the court system like it should have been.
I'm not like picking fight
No,
here.
yeah, no,
but
I know.
Let me just throw numbers out there. What if the men bring in $10 million a year for their World Cup, and the women only bring in $4 million a year for the World Cup?
How much do you spend on marketing for the Women's World Cup?
But you know what I'm saying? Like, don't the numbers matter at all?
Cause and effect,
no?
right?
I understand the gender thing. I totally get what's going on. I'm not naive to that.
Right.
But like, as far as a businessman, don't the numbers matter at all,
but the
or no?
cause and effect is, are they not getting that many eyeballs because you're not putting the same amount of money into marketing? You're spending $1 gazillion for men, so of course they get more eyeballs. So what's the cause and effect of the fewer eyeballs? Is it the marketing or not? Because you're not giving them any investment, then of course nobody's going to watch.
Right. I get the argument.
No, and I see what you're saying. Just really quickly, this isn't a niche market that they're going after. These are women. They're more than men. So you would think that the corporations would figure out a way. I'm just surprised that there isn't more of a concerted effort to make these people big stars. Not because they're nice corporations. They only care about money. But there's so much money to be made, and I feel like it's being left on the table.
And speaking of that, the U.S. soccer guy that in the same speech mispronounced Megan Rapinoe's name. That's his star athlete of the parade that he just held. That's embarrassing. I don't think a male might have been mispronounced that way.
I mispronounce things all the time.
You do.
Either way, congratulations, back-to-back World Cup champions. That's a feat.
Thank you, Jeff Schrader. Let's get started.
All right. Everyone missed that joke.
I know.
Thank you. All right, there have been too many stories of white people calling the police on black people, as we all know. Some have catchy names, like we all remember Permit Patty or Coupon Carl. Well, there was another incident in San Francisco. Take a look.
Please call your friend on the call box and have them come down.
They don't have to do that. You could just walk away.
I'm going to call the police right now.
Oh, yes. Call the police.
Please go.
Listen to your son.
Daddy, go. It's the better. I agree with him, Daddy. It's the better.
At Washington.
Let's go. Please, I don't like this. I don't like this.
He's standing in the lobby.
Daddy, I don't like this. Let's go.
I feel for that kid, definitely. Now, the white man from the video has responded, and there's more to this story than you might think. He says he didn't target the man because he was black, but because his father was killed by a trespasser, and that there have been trespassers and break-in in his buildings. The black man in this situation thinks that's no excuse. Let's watch.
I can understand that he's been traumatized. It's very, very difficult to try to communicate based on his past experiences. Personally, as an African-American male, I've been stopped and harassed at stores, different locations. I would have police officers asking me if I belonged there. But I don't let those experiences shape or define the way I see other people.
So the question is, should the white man have reacted the way he did? I said I feel for the child in that video. I actually feel for everybody in that video. I feel like everyone has a point of view in this video, and they're a lot different than the Permit Patty and the Carl situation, I believe.
I think it's a nuanced situation. However, this is what really bothers me about any of these situations. You are saying that you're feeling threatened, but you're confronting me. So how do those two things play out together? I think there is some flexibility in thinking, some duality of thought. But if you are confronting me, then I'm assuming at that point, I feel like
defensive.
I'm defending myself, not you defending yourself against. And then the other thing is, and trust me, this is a crazy situation, so I'm trying to resolve it in my brain too. However, if you have a fear because of a past history of tragic history of your father being killed by a trespasser, why are you putting your child in that situation in order to possibly have harm brought to him? So that's where it gets a little dicey to me. Are you afraid of me, or you just don't want me there?
Those are great points, honestly, really great points.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the situation, and I was trying to put myself in the exact situation. Obviously, there's a racial dynamic that cannot be overlooked. This seems like it's taking place in San Francisco, which is a major American city. I live in Denver, clearly, downtown. And downtown, there are a lot of people that hang out near my door, which you need a key fob to get in. Just removing the racial aspect out of this, because obviously we have so many templates to go from. In a situation like this, I don't have a house like you do, Tori, a house like you do, Erica. If I allow somebody into my place, I don't know what their business is in there, and really I'm leaving the door open for the other 752 residents that are at my place. So I do understand that dynamic, and it is a difficult thing. Now, can we really ever officially know what was in this man's heart? Absolutely not. It did strike me that he defended himself much more vigorously than the Barbecue Becky or the Peppermint Patty, whatever her name was, the Coupon Carl. Yeah. They just kind of just seemed like hey, it is what it is. It did seem like this guy did take this to heart. Maybe he handled this the wrong way. Maybe race did play a part in it. Very possibly could have. But in situations like this, for people that live in major metropolitan areas, you have to really be careful about who's trying to get into your building.
You do. You
but
do.
It's true, like what Erica said, though, just to point out, he did say, why don't you just walk away?
That's what I was just about to say. I think the proper way to do that is like any race, anyone comes to your door, listen, man, someone just got in trouble for letting someone in the building, there was a break-in, I really can't let you in, but Buzz, this is the manager, I gotta go.
Yeah,
take yourself out of the situation, and then you're trying to be polite. They might think whatever they want, they might think you're being rude, but you're removing yourself from that situation, and I get what you're saying. He stuck around for that. If my kid was crying, I would remove myself from any situation.
I thought that was strange that he continued after that.
But I also think his perspective of in the past of what happened might have been traumatic to him. It's a perfect storm of perspectives.
I think so.
Is what it is.
I think so, but it's a good conversation.
Yeah.
Good conversation. All right, let's get this last story because I like this. You can't fault a man for trying to help the homeless, right? Well, maybe you can. Kanye West is building housing units for the homeless, but get this, they're inspired by Star Wars and supposed to look like this. Look at this. This is Luke Skywalker's house from the original film. So is this a genius idea or not? I think it's genius.
I do too, and you want to know why? I read a little bit into this. It's easier to make. It's economically pricey. The pricing is better for them. Environmentally, it's safer. It's a prefabricated circle with a square, so it's smart. You can dump out a lot of them. A lot of them, you need a good volume. Brad Pitt tried to do this in Katrina and built shoddy houses. So I'd rather have shelter that is easy to make and that I have than sleeping on the street.
And aesthetically, it looks good, right?
I mean, aesthetically, it's subjective.
Yeah.
I guess
I mean,
you're
to be
right.
honest about it. However, I appreciate anyone who comes to the table with a solution for a problem. If you don't have another solution for this problem, then you might not want to contribute to the conversation.
Good point.
And also, just very quickly, talking about the aesthetics, you think about like what we saw when we saw project buildings. What do you associate with all of them? When you look at them, they're brick, they're square, they're drab. They look like prisons.
There's no style.
They look like, and they're built like prisons. And I spent a lot of times in the Bronx, but I know you know Cabrini Green. Like they all kind of look the same. Just having a place that looks like something that wasn't built for an animal, but built for a human being that you could decorate yourself, have some fun with.
Have some style.
Who knows? Be a human being instead of labeled a homeless person. I think this can give people the dignity they need to get off the to make that next step and get off the street. Let's hope.
I like that.
I like it. Good on Kanye. I'm a Kanye fan. DBL is live. We'll bring you breaking news as soon as it happens. I'll get your messages in a second. Coming up, your first listen of Beyonce's new song from the Lion King soundtrack, and it's got a very familiar sound to it. Plus, Kourtney Kardashian gets teary about turning 40. But does she really have to cry about anything? And you, the viewer, are the fifth host. A music festival is under fire for charging white people more to get in than people of color. So DBL Nation, could you support an event that offers race-based pricing? Your comments next.
I kind of tiptoe with Kanye because he kind of has stepped in it a couple times. But there is a theory that I kind of think Jeff should share that I kind of agree with.
I think when you're super smart, there's a borderline of, what's the word I'm looking for? Crazy, I guess. But I don't want to say he's crazy.
But that's not even
I've had professors in my life or smart teachers that get like perfect scores on the SAT, and they have a weirdness to them. And I think you teeter that when you're super smart or super genius. I think Kanye is misunderstood in that way because I think he's a genius.
A lot of people think that.
I have always thought that he's a genius. I think that he's also very transparent and doesn't have a filter. And when you just say everything that comes to your mind, then of course that's going to open you up to say the wrong thing or to have people hate you.
I mean, I was going to say, Erica, how many hit songs did you say Kanye has? 50?
Yeah, he's so
I mean,
amazing.
to get one in your lifetime is an incredible. I would like, remember the guy that made This Is Why I'm Hot?
But if
that
you
guy
listen,
never made anything.
if you listen to his lyrics,
Kanye
they're
has
so
60 of those.
great.
Kanye is one of the most prolific artists of our time.
Very
and
much
you
so.
also have to consider, like, he is he is the son of a college professor. So I remember, and I've had 4 encounters with Kanye and his mom before she passed away. And to be the son of a college professor and she's condoning, like, I get you, drop out, like, that's something in itself, you know, because he was, whatever he was doing was superseding anything that she knew he was going to get in school.
Right.
But he's
it
a
reminds me a
gentleman
lot of
and
the
he's a
Elon
scholar.
Musk situation where everybody's like, oh, he's kooky. I'm like,
Leonardo da Vinci was super weird. He would walk
I'm sure
around.
Beethoven wasn't a pleasure to get along with. It's like
Yeah.
these people,
Geniuses.
Like, when your
Mozart.
brain works differently, you
Right.
don't also have social skills to work a
Right.
wine and cheese party.
That's
I mean,
right.
You can't have both.
Right. And I'd rather
That's why I'm so
see
bad with
the
people.
art than just play it safe.
Right.
Welcome back to DBL. It's time for Fifth Host, and we talk about what you're talking about. A Detroit music festival is no longer pricing tickets based on race now that one performer has backed out, and it's now receiving threats from white supremacists. Afro Future Fest representatives say they were charging white people double for tickets to ensure that marginalized communities of color could afford the experience of going to the music festivals like this one. But local biracial rapper Tiny Jag says she was enraged by the policy and will no longer be performing. So DBL Nation, could you support an event with race-based ticket pricing? And I was giggling at something that happened in the break at the top. Okay, let's get going.
Well, just for the record, to start off, identifying yourself as a white supremacist is already the threat. But Cindy from Facebook says, you can't fix the racial issue by discriminating against another group of people. Discrimination is discrimination. I do think that for every action, there's an equal opposite reaction, so I don't ever think it's ever a good thing to charge differently or treat anyone differently for any reason. However, I do understand that a lot of people and organizations are trying to create safe spaces for people of color so that they don't have to code switch, and also they're able to be identified, supported within the community. So I think that that is also something that plays into it, but I do agree the ticket prices should have been the same, but I also think this was a way to promote the festival.
All right. Jordan from Facebook says, so I'm half white, and what would they have charged me?
That's
Jordan,
that's 3/4.
Maybe half off. I don't know. Jordan, I completely understand what you're saying. My ex-wife is biracial. That makes my kids quarter Caucasian. My grandmother had lighter skin than Tori and bluer eyes. Look, my adopted sister is half black, half white. When you start trying to just identify people with race, you immediately get into murky water. So I say, let's do this the other way. Let's figure out how to promote this festival, how to make it so that people can find it affordable, but without feeling discriminatory.
Wow, well, Elizabeth agrees from Facebook. Says, I'm okay with discounting tickets for people with low income, but not by race. We are trying to get away from race being such an issue. So let's start by helping poor people of all colors. Yeah, I think it's legally completely irresponsible, and legally it's not going to happen. Eventbrite already made a statement. It's not going to have this. But I completely agree. Socioeconomic, that's the way to do this. So Elizabeth has the right point. Do it by pay, not by color.
Absolutely. Gail from Facebook says this festival was for a certain community, so they made it possible by offering discounted tickets. Maybe this was not the best way to go about it, but all this hate needs to stop. Yeah, I think I'm with you. All the hate does need to stop. We sugarcoat a lot of things. This is racism on any level. I mean, that's all it is. I think it's racism. Boom.
No pen drop?
Boom.
No pen drop.
No?
All right. There we go. We're all done here. Coming up on DBL, embracing the gray. Hey, I like to do that. And aging gracefully. Not so much. How one woman's journey could inspire you, and you'll see how a community came together for a young boy facing the medical battle of his life. Heart Threads is next.
The sun. Hey, Beauty Blasters, it's Wednesday, and that means we're talking some beauty gossip. Yes, queen. Now, I have all the hottest beauty tips, tricks, and some of the gossip that's going on in Hollywood, so let's get started now. Now, first up, that's happening lately is John Legend released a song about skincare. Can you believe it? Because I couldn't. Now, after I remembered who his wife is, Chrissy Teigen. She is amazing. Her skin is beautiful. She's known for fabulous looks. So you have to think, some of that had to rub off on John, right? Well, it rubbed off so much that he had to make a whole song about his love for a certain product called Patera. That's actually the song's name too, Patera. Say it with me. Patera. It's so cute, right? Now, this song is about his love for the essence from SK2, a serum, if you may, that helps to hydrate, brighten, and do a little bit of everything for your skin. It's really wonderful. But even on the launch of this song, he even included his good friend, James Corden, to make sure that he had a couple of extra funny bits in the video. Pop Sugar actually met up with John Legend himself and asked what are some of his beauty tips and secrets. So, you know, I had to dig up on that and see what all of them were. The first one was to make sure that you have a multi-step skincare routine. Ooh, John Legend, you just won my heart over, honey. This is the truth, guys. You have to have a multi-step skincare routine to make sure that you're really servicing your skin and all the layers that we have. So that's cleansing, exfoliating, a toner, a moisturizer, a little eye cream, a serum. Make sure you got your steps in order and take care of the skin you're in. Now, the second one for him was a big bathroom. I don't think that's just about for everyone. That might not be feasible for everybody, but I do agree that you should have 2 separate spaces for your beauty needs. For his and his, hers and hers, theirs and theirs, whatever it is gonna be, go ahead and have some of that. All right, guys, now for more of his exclusive interview, go check out Pop Sugar's interview.
Welcome back to DBL. Today's Heart Threads is all about positivity. Our very own Brandon London shows us how a community is rallying behind a little boy with a heart condition.
This little boy got a huge surprise before a major heart surgery. Mason Dinger, born with heterotaxy, already had 2 major surgeries by age 5 and was due for another to keep him stable.
We're hopeful to buy at least, maybe hopefully 10, 15 years before he needs any more intervention if there's no cure for congenital heart defects. And we're hoping to raise some awareness about this because we need more funding.
Before the surgery, his school decided to give him a huge send-off. Everyone wore green shirts and cheered in support of Mason. He also met his favorite superhero and got a ride to his favorite barbecue restaurant. Seeing Mason so upbeat despite his health struggle was inspiring to faculty.
Just to watch him go through this journey and do it so bravely and so courageously and just, with a smile on his face. He's been through a lot.
Mason and his family have a tough road ahead, but they've seen there's no end of support from their community.
We're so grateful for community and for the school district and for everybody who's helped put this together.
Keep up that positivity, Mason. Coming up on DBL, soccer star Megan Rapinoe gets candid with Anderson Cooper, and we've got the highlights. And Kourtney Kardashian gets sad about turning 40. So do you feel bad for her or not? We'll be right back.
We got any major comments? It seems really wishy-washy.
It's the iPad.
Let's have a look at Fifth Host. Oh, it's offline. Oh, no, it's not. Hey, guys, I'm going to read out some of your comments that we've had today. I am falling over the wire, which is at my feet. Bear with me while I kick it out of the way. Hi, I'm back with you. All right, so we've got loads of Fifth Host comments today. On Fifth Host earlier, oh, gosh, we've had so many. Let's have a look. Look at these ones. We've got Donna Thompson on Facebook. So we were talking about the festival, the event that was asking if you were white to pay a higher price if you were black to enter the festival, and there was a music artist that decided to pull out of the festival, and she said that she didn't want to perform anymore because she didn't feel as though that was fair. We've had comments all day about saying whether people agree and disagree. I was on the morning shows, the panels, and reading out some of the comments. We had one from a gentleman called MJ who felt as though we were regressing. So let's see what you guys have got to say about this. All right, so Donna Thompson on Facebook says, if you're discounting, it goes for everyone. I've got to say, Donna, I agree with you. We've got Vicky Sidoris on Facebook. She's tuned in from Louisville, saying equal treatment for all. Isn't that what everyone deserves? Completely agree. Janet Cantonwine on Facebook, and she was watching on 12 News over in Phoenix. Hello. And saying, I've never gone to an NFL game because it was too expensive. I'm not going to subsidize tickets for anyone else, no matter what the reason. We're talking about the Fifth Host today.
Yeah.
The festival where they were saying if you were white, you had to pay more than if you were black.
What do you think about that?
Well, I think it should have been the same price for everyone, personally. And when I was on the panel earlier, I was talking with Brandon about it, and Brandon said he doesn't want to feel like because he's black, he's being given a handout. He found that very offensive.
Because I was like, if it was reversed, if we were at dinner and they brought the bill over and they were like, it's $50 because you're black, well, it's 10. I'd be like, what are you trying to say?
Really offended.
So but I'm not saying that without saying that I'm taking away from. I understand the premise behind it, that people that are at a socioeconomic disadvantage for once need not only get a leg up but just make things more even. I understand that. I think the execution, they missed it a little bit.
Because so in England, I don't know about in America, but in general, if you're a student, if you're a pensioner, if there are certain cards or entitlements you can have, which you do get discount for things.
You're right.
Then maybe that should have been applied.
Right.
So,
we have
certain
AARP and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It seemed like I've always found, as I've done a lot of stand-up shows and I know guys that sell merchandise after shows, instead of having a price, they have a donation.
Right.
And, you know, they'll just say whatever you can afford to give. And people that really enjoy the show will still, even if you were going to charge $5, they'll give you $20 just to say, hey, I appreciate it. And some people are like, hey, I got $5, I really had a good time, but I'd rather give you $5 than nothing.
Yeah.
And both people had an equal time. They want to show the artists that they appreciated what the performance that they put on.
Yeah.
And I think you'd be surprised. Everybody's like, well, no one's going to pay. Don't underestimate people.
Yeah.
There's most people come from good homes and they understand that it takes a lot to put something like that on, and they'll respect it.
And what about the singer who pulled out?
I respect it. I mean, it's great press. You know, it's great press, and if that is her moral compass, which it seems like it would be because she's biracial, so I'm assuming 50% of what makes her who she is being discriminated against. I would be angry too.
Yeah.
Welcome back to DBL. Now, car sharing is so convenient. It's become our new norm, let's be honest. So my girl Tori and I share our take in this DBL Drive presented by my people. Tori, we're in like rideshare. It's completely taken over our culture. Who would have thought that 10 years ago, if you basically asked anybody on the road, hey, are you also kind of a de facto taxi driver?
Right,
like,
right.
yeah.
I know, and so many of our friends are, and so many people are. It's also funny that we were told, don't get into strangers' cars, and now we're like, get into strangers' cars as fast as possible.
Next time you get into a car share, remember these tips. Ask your driver to share their route. You can ensure it's your preferred route, and you'll know your surroundings. Rate your driver. Help keep good drivers on the road and bad drivers off. And for your own car, get an auto protection plan with CarShield. CarShield protects their members from the high cost of auto repairs. Call 1-800-505-9619 for a free quote.
I love it. Nobody is paying attention.
Everyone, I will say this. I've gotten probably more recognized for being in a car with Al than for anything I've ever said.
I told you we're going to start calling you Miss Daisy.
How does that conversation go?
Everyone's like, hey, you're that girl that drives in that car with Al.
They don't call me Al.
Come on. They do not say
We're honest on the show with the black guy. I'm fine being the black guy.
You know they say that.
Yeah, they do sometimes.
There we go.
With Al.
They do more Al than I.
All three of us go, come on. Yeah. All right, if you're leaving us right now, you can still watch us live on Facebook and YouTube. Here's what's coming up next.
Fresh off her World Cup win, soccer star Megan Rapinoe chats with Anderson Cooper and proves why she's so likable.
So embarrassing, actually, because I'm just very gay.
Then, poor little rich girl, Kourtney Kardashian, cries about turning 40. Is she out of touch, or does she deserve your sympathy? Plus, the stars turned out for the Lion King premiere, the fashion roundup, and Beyoncé's hot new song from the soundtrack, when DBL comes back.
Hi, DBL Nation. If you've been having a lot of barbecues this summer or planning to have a lot of barbecues, I have a recall that I want you to pay attention to. It is a recall of buns, yes, like hot dog buns. So right now they're sold at Walmart and other stores. It is over a choking hazard. The production company the manufacturing company found a little piece of plastic in some of their equipment, and now they're recalling it because there could be a choking hazard inside them. Now, this is kind of a generic brand, so they were sold under different names. So it was sold under 7-Eleven, Great Value, Home Pride, IGA, Publix, and Wonder. So if you shop at any of those locations, I would recommend you go online, take a look, and see if they are part of the recall. You are entitled to a full refund. So if you go online, again, I can link this on our YouTube page too. It is a full refund, and you can check the list because it's pretty long and it's kind of too long to read. But just make sure you don't have any buns from this company. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Because everyone's talking about this.
Always live, always real, always unpredictable.
You are totally off base here.
Log on and join our live conversation.
You think this hair just naturally stays like this?
DBL starts right now.
3, 2. Welcome to Daily Blast Live. We are live and we're talking about what you're talking about right now. Let's get to it, guys. The U.S. women's soccer team's fight for equal pay is taking center stage. The team star Megan Rapinoe sat down with CNN's Anderson Cooper to talk about that. But she also had a message for President Donald Trump. Let's watch.
Your message is excluding people. You're excluding me. You're excluding people that look like me. You're excluding people of color. You're excluding, Americans that maybe support you.
And Megan also opened up about her sexual orientation and says she didn't realize she was gay until college. Take a look.
I was like 6. How can you not know?
I know. It's so embarrassing, actually, because I'm just very gay.
Did you not? You knew about gay people?
Yes, totally. I did. I know. It's like, I couldn't see the forest for the trees. It was crazy. It's embarrassing.
It's so cute.
I can understand her not knowing, although I don't know anyone who knew later, but she had a significant other in her life. She's an elite athlete. That means that the significant other was soccer. So that makes sense that she didn't.
You just blew my mind on that one. I was like, tell me who. Soccer. Yeah, I think it's. I've just never seen Anderson Cooper open up like that. I watched him since I was little. Like, I love Anderson Cooper and I love him, but he's never been very open about being gay, even though he is openly gay. But to be like, yeah, I knew when I was 6, that is something off the cuff you don't normally hear. So she's got great presence. She's prepared. She's ready. And I think she's going to go far in activism. I really
He gets a little giggly on New Year's Eve, though, with Andy Cohen.
He's a little, you know what I'm saying?
Watch What Happens Live.
Oh my God, they're wasted.
I can't really let him drink like that.
I can't. He's like taking shots.
But yeah, I think what we saw in that laugh that we heard that we've never really heard from him is when you start to make a real friend in your adult years, which is very difficult to do. It's very hard to find somebody in your 20s, 30s, and 40s that you are like, this is going to be a friend of mine for life. So I don't know what it is. Maybe like Drake said, no new friends. It's just harder when you get older.
Especially when you're 80 like that.
There was like a natural bond we saw happening.
Yeah.
Did you say something?
No.
Did you insult me?
No.
That sets the precedent for the rest of the show.
I know.
1 point Tori, 0 Al.
I know.
Start working, Al.
Maybe I should lay down on a bed of lettuce.
Stop it. Let us discuss it later.
You can't. Al just made that joke.
I'm trying to own it.
1-1. All right. This next story has some of you sympathetic and some not so much. Kourtney Kardashian is opening up about turning 40. She celebrated her birthday in April, but leading up to it for her was very hard. Let's watch.
I feel like I want to cry.
Why?
Just because it's like, it gives me anxiety. I have so much, and I should just be so happy.
But you're not happy?
I mean, I am, but then sometimes I'm just like, it makes you really like analyze just like where you're at. And then I'm like, sometimes like, what am I doing?
Listen, I understand
I'm
what
waiting
you're
for
saying.
you to go after her.
No, I'm not. Because I get, your mental state as you get older is really your battle. So I understand that's what she's battling because, you have to embrace getting older. My thing is like, I don't really know where I'm at. That's what kind of gets it. She's at the top. That's where she's at.
But is she at the top? Yeah. She doesn't have.
You don't think the Kardashians are at the top?
I think
of the
she's
food
at the
chain?
top. She's without a romantic partner. Her ex-husband is openly dating someone who is like a zygote compared to her.
She has 3 beautiful kids and just got rid of a 22-year-old soccer star.
That's great. She's alone, right, with all this money. Everybody's staring at her.
I think we're missing the point by just dissecting her life because her life is going to be glamorous to everybody. Let's be honest. I'm 42, so I can say this. 40 years old is halftime.
Yeah.
It's halftime of your life. You've lived probably about half of it. You got another half to go, and you do some self-reflection on, just like sports, what did we do right in the first half? What did we do wrong in the first half? And how do we fix it? So I think a lot of the tears come from like, wow, I don't feel 42, but you're like, how did I get here? And then like, where am I going? So I think there's a lot of fear.
I get that part.
I think you audit, but it's also a very scary thing. And for anybody who's achieved something that you've set out, or it's seemingly glamorous or what everybody wants, and you've achieved it and you have it, and you're not happy, that is a very scary feeling, because then you're thinking, it's almost like when I was bankrupt and borderline homeless, and I was like, where am I going to live and what am I going to do? It was a very scary feeling, but at the same time, I knew that if I worked hard enough, I could get myself out of that situation. Now, if I'm in a situation where I'm obtaining things that I've worked very hard for and I'm not happy, where do I find my happiness?
You wonder if you'll ever find it.
Right. So I think that that's a very honest look at things, because then you're like, well, I have what I wanted. So what is really wrong?
Well, what I found, and I know we got to move on, but a lot of my friends were all kind of around the same age, and they've said, and I have friends that are successful by just being great family men and women, and they've all said that when they started questioning themselves about that, they started to say, they keep going, well, what do I want? What did I do? They started going out. They started volunteering every Tuesday. They started reading to elementary schools on Saturdays, and that's where you get true fulfillment. You'll never walk out of there feeling empty. Like
but
sometimes.
Can Kourtney Kardashian tend to do that? No, because it'll be like a mob scene.
Imagine how many more people you're helping being her. I want to go off of what Al said, because I listen to those motivational tapes, and all of them say money does not matter to them. Of course, because they achieved it. Right. But everything that they get of value is giving back to other people. So I get what you're saying. Yeah. Good combo. All right, guys. There's a new HBO documentary that goes deeper into that infamous texting suicide case. It looks at the teen at the center of it all, Michelle Carter and her then boyfriend Conrad Roy III. She was convicted of involuntary manslaughter in 2017 for pressuring Roy to kill himself, if you guys remember. The documentary claiming Carter did all this for popularity. Let's watch.
The defendant's own words. His death was my fault. I told him to get back in.
Mr. Roy himself stated, I want to die.
She thought she was doing absolutely the right thing.
From a documentary on
I've been following this case a lot because it's real. Now her team has gone for a writ of certiorari, meaning they're applying to the Supreme Court.
Say that word again, please.
Writ of certiorari. It's Latin.
What does it mean?
Basically means I have a right to be heard again. Okay. And it's an appeal, and you really do it when you have a constitutional issue. She feels her First Amendment rights were violated here because she got in trouble for saying something, and that's the First Amendment. Her lawyers feel,
yes.
And of course.
I don't know if she feels that.
Well, exactly. And I spoke to an attorney who's well versed in First Amendment rights.
You can say my name.
It's not Al. And basically they said that this, in his opinion, is a clear and present danger case, and that it doesn't matter that it was just words. This is yelling fire in a crowded movie theater. This is illegal at some point because you're going to cause direct harm. She goaded him back. Get in the car. Shut the door.
Is that where she thinks she got in trouble when she told him to get back in?
Because everyone's texted bullying things to each other.
You could, I mean, I don't want to trigger anybody because that's the society we live in now, but how many times you've said, oh, go kill yourself or something, you know what I mean? And it's like, I would say that's different than get back in that car and close that door.
And she's trying to say it's not different.
Yeah.
Now that's the case. That's the whole case right there. And it's up to you to decide what you think. I think she will stay in jail.
I have a question for the break. I'll save it. But yeah, I want to get to the.
I don't know. The documentary kind of, that clip at least that we saw left a bad taste in my mouth, just knowing the story beforehand.
People feel like it's that the documentary is going to leave her as the sympathetic one.
Right.
And I disagree because I think I read or heard the speech from Oprah where she talks about when she decided to do intentional programming, and there was this woman who lost her daughter who was 16 years old. She was killed by her boyfriend. And Oprah went to her and said, I plan on exploiting your daughter and her story so that every 16-year-old girl can see yourself in your daughter and see her boyfriend in them.
Right.
So I think sometimes you have to tell these stories in order for people to understand that if you're feeling this way, you may need help.
All right, that makes so much sense, because if you think about, really quickly, if you think about all the characters we've gravitated towards, whether they've been a Walter White, which is a nefarious character, or a really positive character, they're not flat characters. They have depth to them. It's not just like she's bad, he's good. It's always got to be a little bit so that you can identify yourself in everybody.
I like that. That's a great point. All right, this next story, we're going to battle.
Yeah, we are.
Meghan Markle is under fire right now for asking for privacy at Wimbledon. The Duchess had requested no one take photos of her. Now actress and Oscar-winning actress, I should say, Tatum O'Neal is saying she's tacky. Let's watch.
You're now one of the people. You're a royal. You are not an actor or a. You know, to have a bodyguard muscle somebody out, I just think is so tacky.
Well, Tatum O'Neal would know tacky now, wouldn't she?
Oh,
okay.
1 point for our side.
Erica stands stands up a lot for Meghan Markle, and I'm gonna have to come at your girl on this one.
I agree with you
And Tori's
completely.
about to get my back. Erica, she lives a life that is not paid for by herself. If she does not want to have her picture taken, and she's the, she created some tech company, she has a right to do that. She's using public dollars to live in that Duchess of Sussex.
And when she says she's not in a public place, she was just watching a friend, you're in the royal box at Wimbledon for free, paid for by the tax people, and you're like, no pictures. No, at that point, you're a servant, a public servant of the people. You fulfill a public role. You should allow photographs.
So if she paid for her own box, you're saying she could say that?
Yes, that's private.
I don't know.
Well, I disagree with that.
Yeah.
Why?
One, she can't pay for her own box. Two, she can't do that because it's a security issue. Probably security that she doesn't even want. The other part is, isn't she on maternity leave? So you're telling me, Tori, if you had a baby and you came into DBL with the baby, but you were still on maternity leave, just to be like, hey guys, want to check in, then your obligation would be to sit at this table?
Do we check in at Wimbledon?
I think we honor maternity leave, do we not?
7
so
points
she's
for
not
our
allowed
side.
to do anything else during her maternity leave because she's on maternity
You're
leave.
allowed to work during maternity
So
leave.
you're not allowed, she's not allowed to see her friend?
But that's also a public space. You're expecting us not to take pictures of you as a Duchess of Sussex when you sit in the place where the royals sit is a little extreme to me.
Well, I think the expectation is only like that because someone felt the need to say it. And when people say other royals don't do this, in fact, we don't know if other royals do this. It's just that Meghan is the most important, interesting person that we talk
But we haven't seen royals in a royal
about.
box say you can't take pictures. She's here in a private capacity because that's not true. If you're sitting in that box, you're there as a public servant.
40 love, we're winning.
Jeff just says we're winning.
I didn't say anything. You don't contribute.
Point match, we won the whole series. All right, good job, Erica. We crushed that.
Way to
I
go.
love it. All right, guys. Fans hyped up for a Breaking Bad reunion are angry at the show's stars right now. Let's get up to Raquel Villanueva. She has news at the moment.
That's right, Jeff. Fans say Breaking Bad stars Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul pulled a fast one on them after teasing a hot new project since last month. It all started with this Instagram photo they posted with the caption, "Soon," followed by a picture of the two that said even sooner. Breaking Bad lovers were sure a movie announcement was about to drop, but it turns out the two stars are getting into the liquor game. With a new mezcal called Dos Hombres, online reaction was swift, with many calling the news a total disappointment. Now, it's not all bad news. There is a Netflix project allegedly in the works, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Thanks, Raquel. I think this is genius marketing.
I think it's lame.
I think they're living their life. How is tequila lame?
I understand tequila's not lame. I've enjoyed tequila with you, but putting two mules that make me think, oh, drug mules, Breaking Bad, you totally
I don't think
clicked
drug
me.
mules. I think tequila. So it shows you where your head is at.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah.
Drugs versus alcohol, like either one of them is great?
I think I'd rather have tequila than a drug mule. I would. I don't think that's
This is
a
where
really.
the show is right now. I think I would rather tequila than a drug mule.
It's been buttoned up today for sure. Coming up on DBL, the blockbuster Lion King remake debuts next week, but the film stars are already celebrating the premiere. And Beyonce has a new song off the hot. Beyonce's got a new song. It's beautiful. You're gonna hear it when we come back.
Soul cycling.
I went to hip hop night. Tomorrow night's East Coast hip hop night.
What?
Yeah.
Little Boys to Men.
East Coast Soul Cycle. Yeah. So it's East Coast hip hop night.
I go to my local
45
place
minute break.
and I call it No Soul Cycle.
What? No Soul Cycle?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I was telling
Polka
Al
music.
that one time my instructor actually kind of induced my vertigo because she was really offbeat. It's not trying so hard.
That's really offbeat.
My No Soul Cycle.
Because I saw you that day. I was like, are you coming in today? Like, you looked out of it.
I
Like,
was
all
like,
jokes aside, when
no,
Erica
I'm
has her
being very
vertigo,
honest.
like, it's very scary.
Certain things will trigger my vertigo.
Right.
And when I was like on one beat and she's on the other beat, and then you look up and you're like,
Whose beat was right?
my beat was wrong.
I hate when people are, I hate when I do yoga or something and someone's like doing their own thing, but the whole class is like in one thing and one person's just like in their own thing. It distracts me. I want to tackle it.
You know who came to Soul Cycle? Coco came to our first Soul Cycle.
I heard.
Me, Coco, and Patty. That's right.
I heard. She said that she was no Soul Cycle.
Yes. Everybody just get through the first class. The first class.
It's tough.
I was really, because they kind of like your feet are metallically attached. If they weren't, I would have left.
Your legs kind of go
I was
jelly.
tired within the first 2 minutes. I was like, this is not normal.
Yeah, it's hard. Anything starting new, like if you haven't done it before,
When
is
your
hard.
body's not used
Anything,
to it,
because your
yeah.
body is not used to the little
That's
things,
the best
you know?
part, though. You got it. Like, I just do things to humble myself.
Really?
Well, not like that. I mean, like, you know, because you are volunteering to kind of look stupid.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's good. I like it. I like trying new things too. Because then you build up. Welcome back to DBL. I'm so excited for this movie. That was a clip from the new Lion King, which hits theaters next Friday. Stars were out last night for the world premiere, and already critics are calling the animated remake a masterpiece and visual experience.
Now tell everyone what you're planning on doing with Lawson.
Well, we've been hyping this movie for months. I think it's justified with this
You and
one.
your wife with your son.
Well, I don't know if we could both go. But
Right.
we're definitely, one of us or both of us are taking Lawson to see this, and we've been hyping him up all.
It's his first movie.
It's his first movie ever, so we're going to see how he
Big
lasts
deal.
in the
This is a
theater.
great first movie.
Is
Yeah,
it?
it's the best. So we're
You're setting
hyping
the
it up.
bar.
And all the advertisements on TV have been coming on, and we're always like, Lawson, look, the Lion King. And this other day, he came ripping around the corner with a cheese stick in his hand, because it came on, he looked up and stepped on a metal airplane and wiped out and started crying. And I'm like, no, the Lion King. They have nothing to do with each other. We're still going, buddy. We're still going.
Don't connect the two?
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
super excited. I think I'm going to cry. I might cry.
I'm going to cry as soon as that first note, Mott, and then it's just your memories.
Yeah, we almost did it right there.
I might cry too. Let's get over to our resident fashionista, Stephanie Jones, for all the looks of last night. Stephanie, what's going down?
So the celebrities hit the red carpet for the world premiere in LA, and they didn't disappoint, especially the men. So let's take a look at Donald Glover. He voices Simba. He rocked Gucci and he looked so 70s. I love this. And Seth Rogen voices Pumbaa, and he also kept it retro in Prada. And Eric Andre, who voices one of the hyenas, went all out in all pink. Check it out. And we can't forget about the ladies. Beyonce, who voices Nala, wore diamond-covered custom Alexander McQueen and brought her daughter Blue in a matching skirt. Now that is family goals. And Destiny's Child were in the house. Michelle Williams stunned in this mirror gown, and Kelly Rowland nailed the theme with animal print. But I've got to say, if this was any other red carpet, Kelly, babe, it would have been a miss. Looks a bit like 70s fancy dress. Back to you guys.
Ooh, not digging it.
Steph doesn't like it.
He does not like it. Thanks, Steph. But maybe you'll dig this, Steph. Speaking of Beyonce, she not only stars in the film, but she also dropped a brand new song for the soundtrack. Let's listen. And Beyonce produced an entire album featuring multiple artists. That drops July 19th. I'm very uncomfortable saying drops so many times. Can we just say comes out with?
Yeah.
I don't know. You could pull it off.
I can pull it off?
Yeah,
Like 4 times
you're
in a row?
a hip-hop fan. Yeah, you got this.
All right, cool, man.
Yeah.
Guess what? We'll be dropping in after this commercial. We'll be right back.
The sun used
Hi, DBL Nation. I actually have a sad update for you. It is about the death of Disney star Cameron Boyce, who died at only 20 years old. Well, right now his family is confirming that he had a seizure from his epilepsy, and that is what caused his death. And right now Michelle Obama is also honoring him. She posted a photo that I hope you can see online. She posted a couple actually, but she did another one with all of them in a group because she actually was on a project with him. And she says, not only did he have incredible talent, but also an incredible heart. So being for so young, he had such an incredible career, and our thoughts are with his family right now. So DBL Nation, I will catch you next break. Bye.
Welcome back to DBL. Your first grey hair can be a terrifying moment, especially for us women, but there's a new trend of ladies embracing their grey locks. I mean, look no further than Jamie Lee Curtis, Monique and Diane Keaton for proof. And it's not just Hollywood. Pinterest searches for grey hair skyrocketed 879% last year. So I met one lady ready to embrace her silver lining and discovered there's a lot you guys need to know before you make the jump. Check it out.
My name's Sue. I'm in my 60s, and my hair started to turn gray when I was 25. And I've been coloring it for decades. For a while it was black, for a while it was bleached platinum, for a while it was red. And then for the last few years, I've really been trying to just lighten it. And I'm really looking for a way to not have to be in the beauty shop every 3 weeks to cover up the gray. It's just got to be too much.
Today we're here to talk about grey hair and the trend that we've seen filtering through. Have you had a lot of people asking for this?
Yes, gray has become the new epic revolution of hair transformations. Younger women wanting to have that gray, that purpley, that really icy hue of hair. And so yes, it's become quite a trend.
I'm really excited to have it be completely gray.
Sue here is our perfect example of what we would consider a transitional gray. So she is now to the point where she would like to embrace it, but she colored her hair for years.
I think we've all been socialized just to make sure that we look young, whatever that might mean, instead of looking like who we are, when we are, how we are.
All right, let's do this.
I'm excited about it in an old punk rock kind of way. If it's not really the right thing to do, I'm a little more in favor of it. So I'm really looking forward to having it be as silver as possible, but yet look kind of cool. For women thinking of embracing their gray, I'd say just go for it. You can do it.
We'll be right back.
Promote.
Hi DBL Nation, it's Raquel here, and I'm with Leo, who is a huge Marvel fan.
You know it.
And this is our review of Spider-Man Far From Home.
Ooh, what a movie.
I think it's going to be a family blockbuster this summer.
Easily.
We're calling it now.
Yeah, I mean, it's got great energy. Like, this feels like a high school field trip movie with a splash of superhero in it. Like, we get a really good focus on Peter Parker's teenage life. Him and MJ have a great relationship together. Not to mention Tom Holland and Zendaya, just awkward but in love. It's a great depiction of 16-year-old awkward love.
And it's exactly what you needed after Endgame, which was very sad. You had to bust out the tissues. You won't really be crying for this one. At least I didn't. And I'm pretty sensitive to these movies.
Yeah.
You can usually see me with a tear or two. But you'll actually it's gonna be a lot of laughs. You're gonna enjoy yourself. It's really funny.
Yeah.
Yes. And what I liked the most about it was Peter struggling after, well, Peter Parker, after the end of the Avengers. I don't want to give too much away if you haven't seen Endgame, but pretty much, is he the new leader?
Yeah.
His mentor's gone, what's he going to do? He still wants to be a teenager, so it's that life balance
Yeah.
too. And I think my favorite thing that Leo and I both enjoyed, I heard him like screaming in the theater actually, there is a cameo from someone way back
from
the Spider-Man.
Yeah, from the first couple Spider-Man movies, guys. And we're not going to say who, we're not going to spoil, but
We're
it
talking
was a pleasure.
Tobey Maguire era.
Yeah.
So keep your eyes peeled for that.
Yeah, dial it back. And let me tell you, Jake Gyllenhaal, what a great Mysterio. Like, that was comic book accurate. It was great. He was such a great character, and he really hit the nail on the head. And then kind of going back to Endgame, we had this 10-year buildup of Endgame. Like, Avengers Endgame was the culmination of all these Marvel movies. And so you're thinking, well, where are they going to go from here? And they deliver again. Like, music, actors, everything was absolutely fabulous. So if you had to suggest between going to the movie to see it immediately, waiting for Redbox, or not seeing it at all, what would you say?
You know what? You have to see it immediately in theaters. Trust me, you'll love it. Even if you're not really into the Marvel franchise, you're going to have a good time. Take your kids.
Yes.
All right. This is our Spider-Man look. Goodbye, DBL Nation.
Welcome back to DBL. A man has just pled guilty to stealing, get this, a lemur from a California zoo. The 19-year-old took the 33-year-old lemur, Isaac, his name was, from the zoo, and he eventually was returned. Yeah, all is well.
Just real quick, this guy's been on a whole burglary, thieving, jewel theft, and at one point cops chased him at the Pacific Coast Highway. He jumped into the bay, swam away. The Border Patrol had to come in, get him. He had Fender guitars, jewels, so he is an ongoing thief. It's the weirdest story. I highly suggest you read it.
Why isn't he in jail?
He is now, but he kept escaping and eluding them. At one point, he made a viral video surfing a giant wave on an air mattress.
Well, that's not illegal.
No. But just weird.
But the lemur took him down.
Yeah, the lemur took him down.
Well, that's very expensive property. Like, you have to have a certain amount of money to have certain animals. You gotta have, like, when Mike Tyson had leopard money. Remember that?
Yeah.
Tiger money. Like, you're making it. Like, he did not have lemur money, and he acted like somebody didn't have lemur money. If you got lemur money, it's not a problem. Live your lifestyle.
I think we got to the bottom of that story.
We got to the bottom of something.
Let's see you guys tomorrow, same time, same place.